You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
Alrighty, good morning, good morning.
GM.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing all right.
A little under the weather?
Yeah, a little bit. I just had this chest cold that's been just getting better than getting worse the whole week. Pretty annoying, but it is what it is.
Shit.
Had a long Easter weekend last week.
Okay, he ran you down?
A little bit.
Good stuff? Good family time?
Yeah, lots of family time. Okay. I went to Pascha, which is an Orthodox Easter. We literally had a feast at 3:30 in the morning. 3:30 a.m. in the morning. Yep.
Is that like a thing? Is that a tradition?
Orthodox thing? Yep.
Really? Okay, so like after church at like at midnight or something, and then you.
Yep. It's pretty great. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool experience. But
awesome.
It was very, very late, and I didn't get home till like 6 a.m. So it's a little hard to stay awake. But
that's very cool. That's very cool. And that's near where you are, relatively close.
Yep.
That's awesome, man. So wait, so Easter, did it fall on the same date? Because usually Orthodox is different, right? Sometimes they align.
we celebrated on Sunday. Sunday. So.
Right, but usually they don't align the Orthodox Easter and the Catholic.
I don't
on the calendar.
Don't know.
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they fall on the same weekend.
I guess this year it was the same at least.
Yeah, I just know because my best friend growing up was Greek, and he just celebrated Greek Easter, Greek Orthodox Easter. So
nice,
there was always a different weekend around the same time.
Yeah, the Orthodox parish I went to, it wasn't Greek, it was OCA, which is like an American version, but
right, but still on the Orthodox calendar, yep. I assume. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool stuff, man. Cool stuff. What's that?
How about yourself?
Everything good, man. Family stuff is good. No complaints. Monero stuff chugging along. I spent some time trying to take XMR Bazaar to the next level yesterday, helping out with testing stuff out. Anarchio's made a lot of improvements. We just haven't had time to launch them. So we got notifications coming up. That's very exciting. I tested that out yesterday. I think he might try to launch it like now. If he does, he'll let me know during the show. So that's going to allow people to get notified via Signal, SimpleX. We even have Session in there. So you could add your various accounts. And whenever you get a message now on XMR Bazaar, you'll get dinged on one of those, on any of the accounts you add. So it will
very nice.
People won't be missing their messages. Obviously, that's a big part of XMR, right? Like, we need to bring people together. We need to make sure they're not missing this coincidence of needs moments.
Yeah, that'll be a big quality of life improvement for sellers, especially.
Yeah, for sure. And then we got bonds. I haven't tested that yet, but that's pretty much ready to go. I'm excited to add the bonding system. Should be very cool. And then we will be adding boosts as well, so people can pay to boost their posts to be on like the top of the listing. So that's exciting. That'll also be the first form of revenue we'll have on the site. So providing people the ability to boost their listing, bring it to the top. I think Kuno has like a similar feature, so it'll function like that. So I tested that out yesterday. That worked well. And yeah, the bonds should be very cool. I'm hoping that works out as hoped in terms of adding some more trust to XMR Bazaar, allowing people to buy things off of each other without knowing each other, seeing that the other person is bonded, essentially insured, and they'll know that if the sale doesn't come through, they can get reimbursed from the bond. So I'm hoping that runs pretty smoothly. So it's going to be like
a nice option to have for sure.
Yeah, so they don't have to go through the whole escrow process, but it's going to be a little bit of a, not so much like it's like, so you could choose to do escrow, you could choose to do normal direct pay, or this third option where you could choose is direct pay with bonded, right? Like knowing that they're bonded, because it's basically gonna open up a group chat with you and the seller and the mediator, because we're still going to need a mediator involved, right? So when there is an issue,
that's going to be the most used option once it becomes a thing. Because don't be wrong, the escrow is cool, and it's kind of like a feat in a way, but it is a bit laborious. You kind of have to know what you're doing. It's not user friendly.
Right.
The bond will
it's
be
getting
a nice
better.
It's way to have that trust there.
The escrow actually is getting better. It's improved a lot. Narcio has made improvements there as well. So that will continue to iterate and get better. But I think the bonds will be the nice middle ground where you get that security of escrow without having to go through the whole escrow process. So excited for that. Oh, and then we will try to add, like officially add a section where people can post their Monero trade, right? Like looking to buy or sell Monero for cash or gold backs or for Dogecoin, right? So that element, we've kind of let people naturally just make their own listings, exchange-based listings, but now we'll make it its own section and tweak it so that it's like for exchange listings. And then we're going to also add the ability of people to basically list themselves on the Monero map as being somebody that's looking to make a Monero-based trade, whether Monero for cash or cash for Monero. So people can turn that on and off to let, not their exact location, but like, hey, I'm Doug Tuman, I'm in the New York area. You'd see me bleeping on the map as being accessible as basically a person that's willing to trade Monero for cash or cash for Monero. So we'll be adding that. I think that I'm hoping that gets legs. I don't know if you were Tux, if you were in on that episode, we had a whole big discussion about it. Drunk Dial Me was talking about the need to kind of get this going. We need a replacement for local Monero. He was talking about things that can be done in Havino to improve that. Obviously, Havino is doing an amazing job. I keep seeing stories about their volume increasing. But what Drunk Dial Me was trying to say is there's still like this sweet spot that hasn't been met in terms of cash to Monero trades and creating a good platform that brings those people together in a quick, easy way. So we're going to try to add a feature like that to XMR Bazaar.
That'd be great.
In a way where we're not, we as the platform are not partaking in the transaction at all. We're not, not like local Monero. We're not holding your Monero and then passing it on. We, just like everything else in XMR Bazaar, we won't be a part of it. But adding this element, like this geographic element and timing element that could put people together that are geographically near each other to make a trade. And then, you could those people could be bonded as well. Also, you'll be able to see that they're, what their reputation is. And I'm hoping that could lead to some good cash for Monero trades around the world. That would be the goal. What else? That's kind of what I've been focused on this week. I'm trying to think if there's anything major. Obviously, we have Monerotopia Porkfest coming up. I'll bring that up real quick. I was surprised. I saw people like tweeting yesterday again, like, "Oh man, wouldn't it be great to have a Monero conference in the U.S.?" And then I think he was even Drunk Dial me. He was like, "Yeah, they should do it around Porkfest." I'm like, "Dude, we are. It's this year. We have Monerotopia at Porkfest is happening this year." Let me try to bring this up here. So that's in June. It's the same time that MoneroCon is going on. And it's going to literally be at PorcFest. We're renting the largest tent at PorcFest, so we'll be like one of the main attractions there, right next to the main stage. So come on out. It's PorcFest itself is a week long. I won't be there the whole week. I can't do that. But the Monerotopia portion of it will happen towards the weekend, like when MoneroCon is happening. So like that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Obviously, people kind of head home on Sunday. So I mean, if you could show up on Thursday or Friday, obviously if you could show up early, you get the full PorcFest experience. That goes all week long. It's people just hanging out, essentially living off of each other on a campsite in the most libertarian way possible. But yeah, the Monerotopia portion will probably like peak around Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And that's when we'll have the talks going in the tent. Whole bunch of stuff. Aaron Day is running this with me. He's really going to be putting like the speaker list together. So we'll see when he starts to add speakers. If there is anybody that wants to talk, that wants to be part of it, reach out to me. If you want to be a speaker, send me an email. Monerotopia@protonmail.com. Email me if you want to be a speaker, if you want to participate anyway, you want to volunteer, you're coming out to PorcFest, you want to just help run the tent, you want to come to PorcFest and sell things, we could help you figure out how to do that. Basically, you just show up. If you have questions about showing up to PorcFest, actually, I ask that you kind of do your own research too, just so you don't ask us obvious questions. I mean, you just go to PorcFest, Google PorcFest, check it out. Basically, you just have to get a ticket to PorcFest, and then you got to figure out your accommodations. You can work with other people that are attending PorcFest as well. You can rent your own campsite. You could rent a motel offsite. You can find local motels, local Airbnbs. It is kind of in the middle of nowhere, but that's what makes it great, too. I mean, it feels like you're really cut off from the rest of society, and there's just this little libertarian Monerotopia taking place in the mountains. It's quite nice. Everybody there is living off of crypto for the most part, or goldbacks. So it's super cool. If you do want to participate in any way, email us monerotopia@porcfest.com or just show up. We'll see you there. You don't need any ticket for the Monerotopia portion of this. You just need a ticket to get into PorcFest. So very excited about that. That's going to come up fast, man. Oh, my God. Yeah. We're already end of April, May. We got all of May and June. So towards mid-June is when it kicks off, June 16th through the 22nd. That's going to come up really fast. Tux, you're going to MoneroCon, right? You're going to go?
Yeah, I would love to be at PorcFest, but I will be at MoneroCon, so I won't be able to make it.
So yeah, if you can't make MoneroCon, come to PorcFest. I had people reaching out to me this week. Ulysses, he's been on the show. He might come to PorcFest. He was originally, I think, going to go to MoneroCon, but that might be too much for him. Yeah, guys, it should be cool, and it's cool that both events are happening at the same time. I'm excited for that. I'm hoping we see a little uptick in Monero transaction count. I haven't really kept up my eye on it recently. I assume it's just kind of doing its normal thing. But it would be nice to see a little uptick of Monero usage, considering people will be using Monero 3 or 4 days, both at PorcFest and at MoneroCon. So if we don't see a little uptick in usage, that'd be interesting. I mean, it's just like, at that point, I don't really understand Monero's transaction count at all. But I think we will. In years past, we have seen upticks during Monerotopia conferences, during MoneroCon conferences. So
I'll be curious to see what it looks like with both of the conferences happening.
Right? We should see something. We should see some kind of bump.
If we don't, then it's just over. We should just pack it up and.
If we don't, then it's all just a lie, right? It's like, all right, so what is this? 20,000 transactions per day? Like, what's going on? But yeah, I'm sure we'll see something. And Tari is coming out, right? I saw that, and I'm sure we'll bring that up in the news. So I'm wondering
just waiting
if
for like an extra 1 week delay to be added.
yeah, when are they're launching?
May 6th,
May
supposedly.
6th. Okay.
I won't believe it till I see it.
So I messaged them last night and they responded. Naveen and Fluffy, they're down to put something together to come on a Monero talk. So
okay.
excited to
I mean,
have
I
them.
do have high hopes this time because they did actually close their test net, because I was mining their test net, and it is actually, you can't. It's been closed. So
that's cool.
Oh, sorry, the test net hasn't been closed, but it was reset. It was reset. They did actually do that, and the mainnet's supposed to come out May 6th. So
what got you? You were just out of technical curiosity. You were just checking it out.
I was just checking it out. I was curious. I still don't really know that much about it, like technically. I was just mining because they had a really cool application they made. It's actually really nice. And then I wanted to get some airdrops for like mining the test net, so I did that.
Oh, sweet. Oh, so you get part of when they launch, you get airdrop Tari?
I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I got some gems. I don't know what they're used for.
There's so many things going on.
There's a lot of stuff going on. I haven't really actually looked into it that much. I was like, oh, I have an extra computer that's just sitting doing nothing.
Yeah.
I'll put Tari Universe on it and mine the testnet. And so I did that.
So for people that do want to get involved from the get-go when it does launch, what can people do? I mean, they could basically just try to mine it, right?
Download Tari Universe. That'll let you mine it on like any system, basically. And it'll let you make a wallet too, of course.
And so how do you set up like merge mining? What's the easiest way where you could be simultaneously mining Monero and Tari at the same time?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
Because I'm not mining it unless I'm mining Monero. That's, I mean, is there a one-click? Obviously, I'll talk to Tari about this.
Oh yeah, it's one-click mining. But what is funny, I noticed in the settings of Tari Universe, there already is a Monero wallet. Like there's a Monero primary address and a Monero seed.
Oh,
so
cool.
I don't know if it's already like doing the merge mining. That's part of the client.
Oh, sick.
I don't know how that works. Someone would have to explain it, but I did notice there's already a Monero wallet that is created when you set up Tari Universe.
All right, that's
separately
probably
from the Tari wallet. So that probably adds some context.
That's probably what's going on there. So that's very cool. And then, I've been trying to tell Zano to add from when we first learned about them years ago. That was always the question: are you guys merge mining with Monero? And I don't know why they didn't do that.
Yeah, there's no reason they shouldn't be merge mining.
Yeah, it sends a good message too. I mean, it's essentially, especially because there's a lot of tribalism as we've seen on this show. Like Tari seems to get the pass for now. We'll see once they launch. Obviously, everybody's just been like, all right, when Tari. But now that they're launching, we'll see how they get treated by the Monero community. I think it's interesting, right? Like a project like Zano there is a part of the community that's being very like Monero maxi and resistant to it. But then something like Tari gets the the red carpet, which is interesting because it effectively, I mean, it has a pre-mine, right? It has a founder's reward. It has a dev tax too, right?
Tari, I didn't. Does it?
I don't want to misspeak. When we have Tari on, we'll correct it. But it's not just there is a fund, right? There is Tari that's being issued to founders and whatnot, right? Am I correct in saying that?
I could not.
I mean,
answer that.
We'll learn all about it, but I guess my point is. We need to. We'll see how the community responds to Tari once they launch. They're more than welcome to come on this show anytime. Obviously, I'm hoping to have a Monero talk with them. Would love to get them involved in Monerotopia conference. I've tried in years past, but maybe they just didn't want to. They didn't want to like make false promises. They participated a little bit at MoneroCon, but now that they're launched, would love to see them more out and about, engaging, having them at Monerotopia conference. Like, how awesome would it be to have Fluffy Pony on stage talking about Tari in a panel with like Andre from Xano,
Ex Monero CEO.
Yeah, with like Andre from Xano and Amir Taki from DarkFi, right? And then like I don't know, Luke Parker from Monero. Like that would be a sick panel, right? I'd love to see things like that and get through, avoid all the bullshit and all the the maximalism among different projects, and just have those people talking things out. I do see those projects as similar, right? They're all trying to kind of be the quote unquote Ethereum for Monero, right? The Monero kind of, if the Monero version of Ethereum, right? DarkFi, Xano, Tari. So nobody's won that space yet, and it should be interesting to see how that all plays out. I don't know who else falls into that category. What other projects fall into that category?
Maybe Beam.
Yeah, Beam, right? I see people talking about. So we shall see how that all shakes out. Yeah, I think we can leave it there. Do we have Bawdy? Yeah, we might as well start with Bawdy,
yep.
right? Yeah,
and I have to deal with a weird network issue, so I'm going to try to switch it to price report before my internet goes out.
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exolix, a privacy-focused, non-custodial instant crypto exchange. Go to exolix.com to enjoy secure and completely anonymous swaps with no KYC or sign-up. Swap between Monero and 2,000 plus assets at the most competitive rates and with no limits. Exolix.com, your fast and secure way to privacy.
GM, Bawdy.
Hey guys,
Good morning. How's it going, buddy?
That's good. Just trying to look up some data here. I had this link that shows me the IMF total reserves and like the breakdown by country. And I just save links, and so I went to it this morning, like just now, trying to pull it up for the price report. And they took away the nice, pretty charts. Now everything is in like this tabulated format, so I have to like download their data and go like search for it.
That sucks.
Maybe I have it pulled up, so maybe we'll like fumble through that here in a minute.
So they making it more accessible or less accessible?
Less accessible. It used to be I just click this link, and there was a nice chart, and it just shows you a really pretty breakout. It's really easy to see. You know, you could just like pull it up quickly. And now it's in this tabulated format, and they don't have a good way of like selecting, you know, what you're looking for. So then you have to either scroll and hope that you didn't like miss the line, you know, like your eyes didn't hop to the wrong line, or you have to download the data. So anyways, it's not a lot of data, but you have to download it and look at it.
They don't want you getting that data, man.
Yeah, they don't want you to know whose whose reserves are what.
Don't worry, it'll all be on Bitcoin soon enough. Transparent chain. We'll all see where the money's moving.
Oh, obviously. Thank God. Finally.
So yeah, I'd say another big week in price, right? It seems like the bottom was certainly in that a couple of weeks ago.
Well,
obviously
temporary
you'll get the temporary. How temporary? I guess you'll get into that.
Bottom so far.
Do we now take off and proceed with the bull market and make new all-time highs and then go down after that? Or I mean, obviously nobody knows, but I don't know. I was kind of hoping for more of a pullback in like crypto in general, but that could still happen. I mean, things have just been so freaking volatile. And it's really all depending on what Trump tweets at any one moment. So, yeah, I'm not totally sold that we're out of the woods in terms of market going down. But I don't know. I'm sure you'll get into that, Bawdy.
Yeah. I think I added my screen just now. I was a little bit behind the curve on that one.
Okay, there you go.
I might be a little behind the curve in general today. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Huh? All right. Yes, we got Monero. Say what?
Long night.
No, just short night, perhaps.
Okay.
Anyways, all right, yeah, so we got Monero here. I really like the way this looks, the way things just bounce back. You'll see when we do the Z-scores later that you'll see that we basically bounce back faster than everyone else, and we're still kind of like outperforming everyone. Honestly, at this point, this chart wouldn't surprise me if it starts moving towards the upside. Like if we actually go for 243 here, the local high, and then start trying to push above 250. I would say that could hypothetically happen kind of at any moment now. I'm not saying that it necessarily will. Like this chart could find reasons to make its way back down here to the bottom. But if this is what happened when everyone thought, when the macro crash scare was on the table, like an acute macro crash that was happening in the moment, and this is all we got, that's really damn good, right? What else is going to bring us down to this level or down to that level? I can't think of anything other than a resumption of that crash, but we're on pause, on hold here for at least, a month or two. So it seems to me that that Monero actually could be ready to start breaking towards the upside here, which would be friggin' cool, right? I think everyone has been kind of wanting to see that. At the moment, as we talked about last week, when we think about what's happening with Bitcoin versus Monero, we kind of expected we probably weren't going to be pushing up above the current levels here, up above this local high with the ratio. And that makes a lot of sense, because we said, hey, there's some rebound action in store for the markets right now. And with that in mind, Bitcoin's probably going to at least keep up with Monero, if not outperform it a little bit. So yeah, I mean, this chart kind of did what we thought it would. It's probably going to spend some time before it can actually really go higher here. We're probably going to have to actually wait for the resumption of the macro crash before Monero's chart really starts wanting to outperform, or at least sort of the stagnation. So like I talked about last week, we expected this move up, and the markets all moved up. Probably you guys, I'm sure you all noticed. And basically, we might need to see a stagnation of that before we expect to see the ratio try to make higher highs here, which is fine. Charts, they do their thing, they take their time. Let's take a look at the dominance, XMR dominance. This chart also is probably going to need some time before it really starts breaking out in earnest. Although because it's comparing against shitcoins, maybe this chart can kind of hold its own a little bit better and make some kind of a stronger signal here for a long. At the same time, I wouldn't necessarily hang my hat on that, right? I wouldn't say, hey, Monero is definitely going to outperform the rest of the crypto market cap here. It could go to the downside. Is what I'm saying. Like this, in terms of like tea leaves, this thing in terms of the TA, this thing isn't telling you necessarily that it's going to go up or down. It's currently still bullish, but if it breaks down below any further than this current level where it is right now, it's more likely than not going to try and find a way to go down further. Okay, so example, we had this right here, kind of a touch. Now this thing is sort of riding that level, right? It's riding that lower standard deviation cluster, and if it breaks down, it's probably going to continue breaking down for a period of time, and that would kind of line up with some of the things we talked about with the dominance, right? We've got the Bitcoin dominance here. We said, hey, slightly preference for this thing to find a way to make it back to the downside, to maybe come back down here. Not alt season per se, but mini alt season, maybe, hopefully, prayer of an alt season, maybe just like an alt month at best, maybe an alt week, perhaps, an alt treat. But yeah, so the Bitcoin dominance, I still think that, hey, there's a solid chance for this thing to find its way to the downside. It did not last week. But that's why I was kind of like a little bit wishy-washy on it as well. I'm sure you could probably tell. It's like, yeah, preference alt slightly, but Bitcoin has just been so damn strong that you ignore its price at your own price peril. So I don't think we have anything else interesting. I wish this chart, I still have it here. I don't even know why I still have the XMR divergences chart here. It's not doesn't really show us anything like useful anymore, and I think that the exchanges are aware of this chart by now. Not to hallucinate myself as being more infamous with the exchange cabal than any of the other Monero bros, but I have the feeling that they probably are aware of this chart and probably did some things to, because this chart, like after some period of time, it stopped really telling us anything useful. It was really good when in the age of Binance, Monero and Binance, but now it just hasn't done anything good for a year or more, probably, even though I've tried to poke a stick at it. All right, let's take a look at the privacy altcoins. We'll start with that one coin that some people like to shill. Some people really like to affinity the Xano in with Monero. Okay, if that's what you got to do, everyone's got to make their money somehow. All right, whatever. So, yep, here's what that wave magic looks like, guys. Y'all make your own decisions on that one. Firo's trying to get back into the game right now. It's like it caught up, it almost caught up. It's like it can see the second to last person in the race right in front of them, and they're not quite caught up to that second to last person in the race. They're doing pretty bad. This is not a good chart. Anyways, Pirate Chain is managing to hold on here. I mean, this is actually kind of, I don't want to say sad and pathetic, and I don't want to say that nobody likes them, but it's with as much positivity that we've had in the past week or so from all the big scare. This isn't really a big movement, right? You would think, hey, this should be easily, cleanly getting back to the middle of this band. And what has it done? It got to the bottom, I guess 36% up. But I mean, hey, let's be real here. That thing dropped 76% just since the end of last year, right? So you really kind of would hope for better price action on, the fears are finally calmed, and the tariffs are off the table now, and Trump masterfully negotiated with himself to drop the tariffs when things looked like they were about to crash. Anyways, I kind of would expect Pirate Chain to be maybe doing slightly better than this. I mean, I wouldn't expect that, but just in terms of like, how would you put it? Like generic thinking, right? Like generically, you would expect that the coin would do better. But it's not. Anyways, okay, enough about Pirate Chain. Zcash hasn't done much either. We're on the weekly. Let's go to the daily. What is this chart? You know what? It's because I never click save. That's why. All right, Pirate Chain. Zcash is now on the daily. Yeah, okay. So one thing that you can see here about Zcash is kind of a common theme that we're seeing with the rest of the market is decreasing volatility. We are seeing, there was the tariffs, right? And there was a scare and kind of like this lead in to the beginning of a macro crash, and it looked like it was going to be this acute crash, and then they took the tariffs off the table, or at least they pulled them back significantly to only 10%. And we'll have to revisit it, in a couple months here. But the point is that what you see is preparation into a big movement, big volatility, big movement, and then decreasing volatility as the market sort of gets comfortable with wherever the new level is, or whatever the new market profile regime is. And that's kind of where things are at here. And we'll talk more about that as we get into the macro and when we get into Bitcoin's price. But anyways, yeah, so there's some decreasing volatility here on Zcash. And you can trade this. You traders out there, you can identify when you're moving into new paradigms or new profiles, new regimes of the market. Right now, we're in the regime of decreasing volatilities. So your less significant levels are more likely to hold and more likely to sort of keep a tighter and more narrowing range, right? So you can leverage that if you're, depending on the kind of styles, algorithms, and strategies you're using to short-term trade, which I recommend that nobody do. Okay, so yep, that's Zcash. Looks like it had a little bit of a bump here this week. It's what's funny about this chart is these movements tend to be pretty big. 12%, I guess that wasn't that big. Yeah, Zcash 12% rebound. Okay, still, again, that's not like given what happened with the markets, you kind of would have thought they might have rebounded a little bit more. Bitcoin, for example, has rebounded 27%, right? Which is significant, right? Bitcoin had the scare, came down. I mean, really, like almost exactly touched the levels that you'd expect. So again, let's just go backwards here. This right here was the previous all-time high, right? That was Bitcoin made the breakout. Am I getting that right? Yeah. Bitcoin made the breakout from the crypto president, and then made a new all-time high. Technically made a new all-time high. It's 73,777. Well, that's a lot of sevens. I'm sure that was God was involved, probably Jesus himself. It was Easter. Anyways, just kidding. Whatever. Moving on. Yeah, so that was previous all-time high. It makes sense. And in reasonable chart land and reasonable TA land, you would expect to come tag that. It basically did. And it also was sort of this moving average cluster, although the moving average clusters aren't always super, super relevant, but sometimes they can be, especially when they're convergent with something else. So we talked about last week to expect this chart to go up to the blue cluster. Easy to just say 100K, right? Going for 100K, boys and girls. And that's that. Looks like it might have a little bit of struggle here, right? It might have to struggle for a moment and then get up there, or it could just pounce there. I think it would be more interesting for the markets and everyone involved for this thing to have a little bit of wiffle waffle struggle here before it can actually make it all the way to 100K. But that's just me kind of like anthropomorphizing the market. Although markets are made of people and you don't have to anthropomorphize people unless we're talking about like Zuckerberg or Biden or someone. Yet I digress. So yeah, we talked about, we expect this thing because let's go to the 4 hour. I just wanted to show you guys why we kind of thought this from a TA perspective, but also, you know, we had the sort of fundamental analysis as well that they had sort of temporarily gotten rid of the problems. Basically, so Bitcoin broke down and we had seen that, hey, you know, the orange bands, the lower standard deviation bands, were effectively capping the action for long enough, right? It had done that enough times and then consolidated here. Hey, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. So we kind of knew that that was coming. But yeah, next stop here is 100K. If you're long, just stay long. Unless you really, really want to try and do some sort of swing trading, go down to like the 15 minutes like a degenerate. You know what? We're not going to do that. We're just gonna leave that be. We're going to continue on with the price report and not try and do any type of short-term retardation. Hopefully they don't kick us off YouTube. I don't know if we can say that word. Okay, so we're looking here at Tron. Apparently they're doing better than everybody else. Tron here in dark green TRX. All right. You know, Justin Sun doing his thing, got his tether. Oh, you know what? Now that it makes sense, we've got, how is his name escaping me? Boys, help me out. The strike, Jack Mallers. Yeah, we got Jack Mallers, who's tether aficionado, and apparently, if I'm to believe, I don't remember who it was, but someone on Twitter, one of our bros, said that Jack Mallers' grandfather was the legend chairman who merged the CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, with the CBOE, and back in like, I don't know, like the 50s or something, or it probably wasn't the 50s, but you know, a long time ago, right? That's interesting, right? He's also a tether aficionado, and now he is leveraging the fiat fractional reserve pump hype inflation system to pump Bitcoin. I thought that's very interesting that this guy has that history, and now he's using the system to inflate Bitcoin. Inflation's only bad when you inflate other assets, but if you inflate my asset, and I use the system to take loans and fractional reserve and lever up and go into my asset, Bitcoin, then it's okay. It's totally fine. You're doing the Lord's work, because we've already predefined Bitcoin is good. So we're just working backwards from that, right? So anyways, that he is associated with Tether, you know, and I'm trying to draw some connection to Tron here, which is basically a Tether chain because, you know, people are using Solana these days for memes. The meme stuff has just gone elsewhere. It's Solana now, guys. Like if you want to do memes and that's your bag, go to Solana. Sorry to say it, but that's just the truth. Everyone wants to put their meme on chain, and that is the chain that supports it. Anyways, Tron doing better than everyone else, but Monero also doing quite well. Again, relative to its own price history, but Monero's been doing quite well. Recovered quickly from the whole thing. Still about 1 standard deviation above its 365-day price moving average history. And everything else is kind of like drifting on the way up here. Bcash doing pretty good. And Bitcoin also doing about the same as Bcash here. So recommend, you know what, if you guys have never watched, if you don't know what a Z-score is, and if I say standard deviation, I said, calculate the standard deviation of these 4 points, and you don't know how to do that, go watch a video. Like it'll help you. Trust me, you'll understand way more if you just go watch a few videos there. Especially the Z-scores are pretty cool. So, okay, let's moving on. I got ETH over here. I don't know why I have ETH over here anymore. I know everyone's going to hate me for saying it. Sorry, bros, but I like ETH. ETH is a better Bitcoin. Like, ETH is a better Bitcoin. It does everything Bitcoin is supposed to do. It actually has layer 2s. It just does everything better. And it's provably fair. Like, they did all the studies. It's very clear. The way they did their POS, whatever percentage you have of the stake is on a long-term basis, the percentage you can expect to get paid out in rewards. It's really that simple. It's provably fair, and it's robustly fair. You can prove it mathematically, and then you can run the simulations, and that's what you find. So I know everyone hates it. I know everyone's like, you know, nobody likes that coin either, but I kind of like it because it actually has real financial stuff that people use and is like actually built on that thing. And like, it's actually kind of being used for that. And its volume just absolutely eviscerates Bitcoin's volume, L2 volume. There's more Bitcoin wrapped on Ethereum than there is Bitcoin in Lightning Network. Vastly more volume in Bitcoin trades on Ethereum every day than trades in the Lightning Network. Don't ask me to prove that. I won't. Anyways, so that's crypto. I don't know. Things could be, you know, like I said, things could take a pause here. Don't expect necessarily next week for things to just, you know, pounce to the upside. Unless things really want to start getting moving here in the next, say, 2 to 3 days, you know, maybe it'll make like a higher high, but this thing looks like, hey, it's made its first movement. It's going to have some time here, and then it's going to move to the upside. I'm not like super confident on that one, but you know, that would just kind of be my intuition here. So don't expect to make your mad gains. That would have been earlier when we talked on Saturday last week. If you wanted to get long last week, that would have been the time to get long and make some big gains there. Right now, you know, you're still going to make some gains, but you're going to have to play the slightly longer game potentially. But once we hit that 100,000, guys, like just be ready to sell. Like just take your profit there, be happy. You can keep some cooking, like you got your hodl, whatever, keep your hodl in the market. But if you did a trade and you leverage this thing to make it up from 80K to 100K, like that's a pretty good profit. Like take that shit, because things are at minimum gonna have to have some kind of pullback, pause, retraction, whatever. Like once we get to 100K. So at least that's just my humble opinion. All right, moving on to the macro. Yeah, as we talked about, you just have to expect things in the macro are going to sort of play this this lowering volatility game. I think the S&P probably still has a lot more to catch up. In fact, it's behind Bitcoin a little bit, technically speaking. But let's start with gold, because gold actually tagged levels that we've been talking about since forever. So gold tagged 3,500, which is basically the level we've been talking about since forever. I'm worried to actually sell my gold. I know I've like been saying I was going to rotate or whatever. I am actually scared to do that, because I wonder if there's something fundamentally going on in the markets that's more fundamental than I thought. And the reason for that is like these tariffs. We've never had, intuitively speaking, the world's reserve currency country needs to have open capital markets, not tariffs. Now, the astute observer will say a capital market is not the same thing as a tariff. Bawdyanarchist. How do you not know that? Well, yes, that's kind of why it's like I don't have the perfect framing for this, right? My mind has not converged on like a really concrete articulation of this, but intuitively speaking, the world's reserve currency needs to have open capital markets, and when you put tariffs on your manufacturing, on your physical goods markets and commodities and all that stuff, that could really have major blowback consequences for your status as the world's reserve currency. Maybe that was already done in the background. Maybe that's already been negotiated, said and done, and now they're just kind of jumping through the hoops, or who knows, right? But the point is that like that's not good. That's a fundamental change. We've never had tariffs as the world's reserve currency. They severed the gold standard, and then I'm pretty sure the only tariffs we've had were the ones that Trump did back in Trump 1. And I really wonder like if they're going to add more and more tariffs and this thing's actually happening. Maybe it's not, but I mean, that could be a massive sea change in the market. And, I just wonder, can gold break my model, right? So I'm definitely wondering that. I definitely have reasons to suspect that. We did not have reasons to suspect that Bitcoin would break my Bitcoin model back in 2021, or even in 2022, right? We had good reasons to think that model would not be broken. Right now, I wonder if there are not fundamental things happening with gold that could break that model. So I'm playing with that. Maybe the hesitation will cost me an opportunity. Let me show you what I mean here. So this is the daily chart, and this purple band is, like we talked about, the acceleration metric of moving standard deviation. It's like when you take a derivative in calculus and then you take a second derivative. You just do the same thing again. You double apply the operation. So they call it, the prime standard. I call this the prime standard deviation. As a result, any of you math engineer people out there will kind of know what I'm talking about. Let's go back to 2011. 2011 when gold had its massive run, and basically, I mean, kind of similar to the run we've had now. This purple band, this acceleration metric, the standard deviation prime, solid spot. And I see this over and over again, long-term charts where something comes from way down under and then makes to the purple band, and then that's the stopping point. So technically speaking, we got if I can get my buttons right, we got about 3 to 4% above that, and that lasted for a total of 16 days. So I'm not necessarily jumping on, like antsy, itching to sell my gold for something else. But it is now on my mind, right? It's now like hardcore. Like, is it time to sell this asset? But the question is, what am I going to buy? What am I going to buy with it? Like, I guess I could go buy property or something. Maybe I could buy an airplane. Airplanes went up crazy good with the inflation nonsense. So anyways, yeah, gold hit these levels, guys, and I'm kind of at a loss right now of what to do, just simply because I am worried that my model here could break. Statistics are only as good as the steady state of the system. And if the system is not acting in a steady state fashion and big sea changes are in the cards, then think that the model could break. So I don't think it's going to. Honestly, I don't think it's really going to break. But I think I would like to believe that I have some time on this chart, because the chart has just been so strong. The chart has been so strong that I think this is probably still worth hanging on to while I mull it over for a little bit. Maybe I'll miss my maximum opportunity there. I don't know. So here's like another possibility, right? So this is kind of in the realm. I know we have to speak linearly, and it's kind of annoying, but when you're thinking, you kind of want to try and like think of multiple possibilities at the same time if you can. So here's a possibility. Maybe I'm wrong about this macro crash. Everything's going to turn around. They're going to reinflate. Powell's going to get fired, and then a new guy's going to inflate the, go to town on the liquidity expansion. Hey, that's a possibility. In which case, this will be the top for gold. If that happens, if you see Trump firing Powell and some new guys about to come in, you need to get your gold and you need to move that into some other higher risk assets. So we'll try and we'll kind of try and let fundamental events, hypothetical fundamental events, we're thinking ahead, right? But if something like that happens, then this will be the top for gold, guys, because this is what happens. Gold goes first, goes the most, and then it pulls back and languishes for a long time as risk markets pump. Interestingly, if we compare gold to the S&P 500, gold hasn't done that much, right? Gold has just kind of been sitting down here for like 5 years, basically. So you'll notice the 2021, right? So this is gold divided by the S&P. So it did best 2021, that big blow off, and then it just came down for a decade, and it seems to be finding a floor here, but it is having a hard time getting off this floor. One thing that we can take a look at is the history on this thing, and you'll notice this chart is kind of bearish, right? Gold has set new lows over and over again. So far, it has not set a new low, but this was quite the breakdown. And it was because one sort of a hyper financialization, right, et cetera. They were really spinning up the leverage machine with the .com. Interesting, though, when that leverage spins up, they always have some kind of fundamental event behind it. They leverage its future, right? And then and then there's a bunch of cruft that has to just get chopped away. And when that happens, markets crash. So anyways, the point is that, no one was interested in gold, and it made a lot of sense because there was such booming technological growth. It was so crazy. This actually made a lot of sense. Right now, it's hard to say that, hey, we're in the exact same kind of position where this like revolutionary paradigms are, the internet. Yeah, I get it. AI is revolutionary and all, but the internet really was kind of a more revolutionary transformation of the economy back in the day. AI is like, it's more of a I don't know. Like I don't know how to put that right. It is revolutionary and it is a transformation, but I'm not convinced that it's going to be so rapid because of the dangers involved, and because it's useful for us like in a lot of contexts, but it's not like massively improving efficiency across every sector of every part of our lives like the internet did. So the point of going through that is that this crash from gold S&P makes a lot of sense in the past, right? For the tech boom, the dot-com boom lasted over a decade. I can't see like the AI craze causing this chart to now crash to the downside. So maybe this thing just kind of continues holding right here. We do have the inflation scare. That's a big deal now for people. So it's like it could make a lot of sense. Again, breaking my model, right? This is kind of what we're talking about. Headliner. We're talking about breaking my model, and is this purple line actually going to hold? Maybe it could be something where things kind of do this, right? Kind of just holds that line for a while. So anyways, just kind of like brainstorming, giving you some ideas live here on air without my fully formed thoughts there on what to think about that. So if we have anyone with cool thoughts and wants to share some stuff, sing out, obviously send me a message, send us an XMRchat. Got to pump those transaction numbers up, which we did apparently. So Monero now dipped below 20,000 transactions for a few days here last week, and then came back to the 30,000 level. Interesting. I always wonder what causes these kinds of these kinds of oscillations. But at any rate, Monero transactions sitting here just below 30,000, 27,000, 27.5, which is where we've been for quite a while. I do like the consistency. Very good. All right, let's go back to the macro. So we talked about gold. Not totally sure what to do there. When not sure what to do, usually just do nothing. Do nothing is often like the best thing to do if you're not quite sure what to do, especially when it comes to investing. Oil, not much to talk about here. It's basically just sitting in that yellow zone that we talked about for a long time. Still, we're still in the yellow zone. Things are still very problematic here. Obviously, the world does not think that manufacturing and shipping is just going to pick up and everything is fine, because if they thought everything was fine, oil would actually be back in this triangle right here, but it's not. Maybe it can like fake out up there for a moment. We'll see. A lot is going to depend on what the politician wants to do. Reverse repos, yeah, this thing not much of a signal for us at the moment. Gee whiz, I guess it's at about it's at about $1 billion of reverse repos. It would be interesting to see this chart if it ever makes it all the way to zero. I don't know. Okay. Let's see here. No, I don't think there's anything else. Dixie. Dollar index, I mean, stabilizing, kind of came down. I still think this thing's probably going to continue to come to the downside a little bit. The S&P and the NASDAQ haven't exactly come back to the level of Bitcoin. We'll talk about that in a second. So it would make some sense for this thing to kind of meander its way down. I mean, I draw that over long time frames, guys. That's May to June, right? So this thing could just do that, or, could just do like that. So anyways, I feel like the dollar index should be moving towards the downside here. Or continue some kind of movement towards the downside. Not super confident on that. Probably doesn't matter that much for us in terms of the broader analysis. Let's go to the NASDAQ and the SP 500. So yeah, we're on the weekly here. Let's go to the daily. You can see that there's a comeback has been in the works. It's still kind of down. Looks like at about 10%. Let's get a better measurement than what I just did. Yeah, 10%. I don't know. I waste time measuring it twice, but okay, yeah, down 10%. This thing's probably still wants to move towards the upside next week. I would probably continue. I would anticipate continuation towards the upside, more so than I would expect Bitcoin. I mean, I do anticipate continuation on Bitcoin. I just, Bitcoin might take a chill for a little bit, whereas Nasdaq might be your more reliable bet here for some immediate upside. One thing I said I wanted to do last week was to overlay the S&P, overlay the 2008 crash and see if that gives us anything interesting. It does not, but we'll do it anyways. We'll do it right here just so that you guys can see. Let's go from the right here. So not exactly the top, but just before the top, and we'll go all the way to the bottom. Well, that wasn't quite all the way to the bottom, but it doesn't matter. We're just going to drag this guy over. This is slow and tedious, but I just wanted to show you guys. So it's called bars pattern, by the way. So if you go here to the left, this little guy, it probably won't look like this. The icon won't look like this. It's because your icon will probably look like that at first. So if you want to do a bars pattern, and this is extremely dubious, guys, like your brain will hallucinate corroborative patterns where they do not exist. So just know that they can be anything. And even on the rare occasions, they could even be useful. But it's extremely dubious as well. And this one, we're going to see this one's dubious. Anyways, but it's called bars pattern. So if you wanted to do this for yourself on your own time, feel free. So yeah, we're looking here. If we just overlay what happened there, kind of like that, maybe. Yeah, that doesn't really match up at all. If we want to try and make this thing match up, then we got to do something like this. And now we start to get even more dubious because you're like, oh, well, now it's a fractal of the pattern, right? So it's the same pattern. We just had to squishify it a little bit. And so now you see what I'm talking about? Like, of course you could make any fall look, any downturn, you could make it look like the same thing. You'd be like, oh my God, look at how much that lines up. Wow, that's pretty close. No, it's not. No, it's not. So yeah, that wasn't actually useful, but hey, sometimes you got to look at stuff and see if it's there. You could also try and do it with the .com crash. It's also nothing. I didn't see anything useful there. I think it's because on the last crashes, it actually took even longer, right? We had even longer time frames. So what was the top there? Top happened in 2007, October of 2007. And then things kind of meandered towards the downside. When I say meander, I mean like they went like down 20% for the course of like 6 months, basically. Acted like they were going to keep going and then just died. So I don't know, maybe we could like put here, maybe we could have done the bars pattern from there. I don't think that's necessarily appropriate, but still, nonetheless, I do think that the greater danger right now is that we're looking at a protracted kind of downturn event. At best, maybe they can draw this thing out over long enough time frames so that we get kind of this and this, and like that. And then something like that, like at best, maybe it'll look something like that, right? But we are in store for problems, right? The market is not well with markets. Things are in the long term going to have problems, and whenever this thing gets to some top side obvious level, that's when you need to be getting short. You need to be selling your positions. You need to be protecting yourself. You just don't want to get caught out, in the hype. Now, I reserve the right to change my opinion, right? I reserve the prerogative to change my tune at any moment here, because if fundamental events happen, or if perhaps I missed something and someone's like, hey, did you think about this? Like one thing, the global M2 supposedly is actually moving towards the upside right now. I think making new all-time highs. Unfortunately, TradingView doesn't have this chart that tells you the there's like calculations you can do to say what is the current global M2 estimated. The official numbers are always lagged by like 2 months, but the global M2 is a really good way to see the current global M2 if you could see it. Other platforms have it, but those platforms are hella expensive. So I don't know. I've thought about getting an account. That would be interesting just to get that one stupid number. That's a lot to pay for just that one stupid number. Maybe we can crowdfund it. I'll put a CSS in. Just kidding. Okay. So yeah, anyways, we're looking here at SPX probably to continue moving towards the upside next week. I don't know exactly where it'll want to stop out, but probably around this area would be a good spot to look for. And at that point, you really want to stay. We're just gonna have to reassess and say what's going on in real time. Is there any reason to expect this should turn around, should stop? We'll see what Trump is saying. We'll see what JPOW is saying. We'll see what the inflation, et cetera, all that stuff. So bonds didn't do anything that are really significant for us. The thing that is significant that has been happening here ever since the Trump scare, the Trump tariff scare, is that bonds are actually normalizing. The yield curve is continuing to normalize. So yeah, that 20% drop is, this is all related, right? The yield curve normalizing, that's related. But yeah, nothing really super duper important on bonds. You can see a little bit in the credit spreads that people are starting to get some confidence returning, where they think, okay, it's it's not so bad. We won't talk about that. That's really neither here nor there. I mean, we could talk about it, but it's probably just not necessary. All right, guys, I think that's all I got. Nothing like, honestly, we had some nice price action this week, right? We got some recovery. That was nice. Not really like a huge week though, in terms of like just significant events and turnarounds or anything like that. So yep, big headliner issue. Expect things to continue drifting higher. Expect Bitcoin to make 100,000. Expect volatility to continue dropping off in general. And we got to start doing some brainstorming on what I think about gold here, because my TA tells me to sell, but my heart tells me not to. So we'll think about that. All right, that's it. That's all
it's
I got
just
for
so
you.
pretty and shiny.
Wrapped up, nice bow. Oh, we have some XMR chats here.
We do. We got a couple. This one from Coney Chase tip 25 cents. There is a new pool on the block when XYZ. What? Also, when I'm not using Bunker phone, I use Graphene OS phone. Is that actually waterproof? I have zero idea what you're talking about. Second half, your phone isn't waterproof. It's water resistant. But I'm not going to expect it to be waterproof. This almost looks like an advertisement or something because I have no idea what it is. Sorry. But thank you for the tip. Shortwave Surfer tip 22 cents. Bawdy, if Powell gets fired and next Fed chair prints, why would gold not go up with the liquidity?
Yeah, it should. But yeah, that's a good question. You would think, okay, it should, and it will. Like, what would be the initial reaction? Gold will pump. What we have seen in the past, let's go to the gold chart actually. Let's go to this gold chart. What we've seen in the past is that gold leads. Gold goes up. Gold is a steam valve release. They get everyone hyped and excited about gold. And then they sell their bags on that hype on the top. They distribute at the top. And there's just not enough people eventually to buy more gold bags. And then they start using that new liquidity. Because remember, it's the banks and the insiders. They get to print. They get to pump. They get to decide who gets the new liquidity. And they don't send it into gold. They send it into the stock market, right? So the speculators send gold higher on that news, like inflation and more liquidity. And so gold goes up for a period of time. But that hype is just being used to distribute insider bags that they acquired right before they knew that steam valve had to blow. And then there's a psychological management happening here. So as gold is peaking and they're just dumping their bags on the markets, at the top, they're using new liquidity to inject into companies, into the S&P, to tech, NASDAQ, et cetera, even crypto now. And that shit pups while gold kind of languishes. And then people start realizing, oh, wait, was that the top for gold? And then they see a year go by and their gold bags haven't done nothing. And everyone else is getting rich. And so they abandon gold voluntarily. That's how they achieve voluntary compliance with the gold markets. Now, to sort of show you this, let me just drop the SPX on here. If I can remember how to do it. All right, new price scale. And furthermore, let's take this one. Sorry, this is a little bit slow and tedious. We're going to put this in bars. Okay, so the S&P is in bars now, so that you can distinguish it from the gold price. We're also going to go to the weekly. So let's just take a look at the recent history on this one. Okay, hopefully this is enough for you guys to see this. So what happened with the C word when the economy did all the craziness and the viruses happened, whatever, the fake viruses. So yeah, gold pumped, right? Going here into July, right? So the Fed intervened right around here, right? Gold did pump along with the rest of the markets. And then what happened? Gold languished for 2 years. Gold just bled out, was just flat, right? Meanwhile, what happens? The S&P, and this is the S&P. The S&P is like stable stocks, right? Big stocks. We're not even talking tech stocks. Tech stocks did even better than that. So it's a psychological manipulation technique that they use with gold to try and manage its price to keep people out of gold, right? And then similar things happen. Sorry, let's try and get this. Let's get this chart. Let's go all the way back to 2008. Actually, no, 2008 was kind of a sea change difference. Let me think about this one. Actually, we're not going to look at everything. We're not going to go back through the full history of this. It was actually one of the things in late 2022 where I said, hey, this corroboration is actually the fact that gold was already moving was kind of a corroboration that the bear market had happened, or that the bear market was probably bottoming because gold was already moving towards the upside. And it tends to move first. So anyways, yes, gold will pump a little bit if JPOW gets replaced. Let's see if that actually happens or not. Right now, that's highly speculative. Yeah, gold will pump probably a little bit, but that will be the top for gold if JPOW gets replaced. I mean, the temporary top. Obviously, it goes up forever because of inflation, but that will be a big temporary high for gold, and it'll be time to rotate your assets. So hopefully that answers your question. Next, XMRChat.
Did we get shortwaves?
Yeah, we already did.
Yeah, we just talked about shortwave.
Oh, that was shortwaves.
When might silver go up, Bawdy?
I think that was it.
Oh yeah, we okay. That's a good point. How could I forget? Yeah, we talked about maybe you should rotate from gold into silver at some point here. I'm still a little bit hesitant to do that for kind of reasons mentioned.
Silver's such a loser.
Yeah. Don't feel bad, bro. I did it in 2019. I moved some profits into silver, and then I just got crushed, and I was like, never again. Never.
All the people on 4chan were telling you to buy silver in 2019. That was like the play. Like, oh, I'm going to buy silver, buy silver.
I mean, does it inevitably have to go up to like
I mean, yeah, it is technically, but it's like it's not making anything like gold is. Like it's just barely keeping up. Maybe not even with inflation. Maybe barely. I don't know.
Yeah, the problem is it's like, well, you should have just held gold, right? If gold outperformed silver, then why were you in silver? It was just a waste. And especially since gold is actually still monetized. I mean, technically silver is also monetized, but not really. Like, not to the significant level gold is. Like, they don't hold silver in their, they don't hold 1 kilogram silver bars or 10 kilogram silver bars in their bullion national reserves or whatever. Yeah, I mean, probably they do a little bit, but not like they do with gold.
My gold backs have gone up a lot in worth since I first bought them. One gold back now is over. Well, it was like $6.80 the other day when I looked, and I'd bought a bunch when it was around like $4. So
nice.
That's some gains for sure.
Yeah, maybe I'll trade some gold backs for Monero at PorkFest.
Got another super chat here. There's an echo going on. If someone doesn't mind muting themselves, I think it's Doug actually. FMD tip 12 cents to Tux and Bawdy. What would be the best coding language to learn to be a software developer, software engineer? That, my friend, is an incredibly broad question. It just depends on what you want to do. Start simple with like a higher level language like Python or JavaScript. And then work your way, or just start learning the fundamentals, like on lower level languages like C, C++, assembly. But it depends on what you want to do. Just like find out what you want to do specifically, and then figure out what the best language would be for that. Sorry, that's not really an answer, but I can't give you an answer to that question.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have an answer. I mean, obviously, the purist here would tell you to go learn Haskell because functional programming and recursion is obviously the way. It's like it's like Gen 2. There's only one right path. I'm just kidding. Do not learn Haskell as your first language. That would be absolutely retarded. I like what Tuck said. JavaScript is very accessible, very convenient. It's used everywhere. Like, what do you like Tuck said, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to get a job? Do you need money? Like, do you need money now? Quick, learn JavaScript. Do you want to get into AI? Unfortunately, learn Python. I hate Python so much. I just hate the environments. It's just such a mess and never have anything work. It's always, everything in Python always breaks, and it only works on your computer, but nobody else's. Anyways, Shell is cool. Like, if you want to learn how to do operating systems, system admin, Shell is like a really useful, very like tedious language, but I think I want to learn either Rust or Go, or maybe both. I haven't done either one, but oh, and obviously, if you're going to learn a new language, use AI. Like, don't vibe code, right? Vibe troubleshoot. That's what AI is for. Vibe troubleshoot. Like,
True.
Some of the things that I had to, like, I started out on shell script because I was just trying to do some stuff on my computer, and then it kind of grew into its own beast. But that was before AI, and I had to like track down answers to all this stuff, and you'd be like, why does this do like that? You'd be like, I don't know why it'd be like it do, but it does. And then AI came along. Like, so I finally learned a lot of that just through trial and error over the course of a couple of years. And then AI comes along. I'm like, man, I could have learned this stuff so much faster. Like the conceptual questions about how does this work under the hood? What's the point of this? How do you know, like, or like, why won't this stupid function work that you struggled with for an hour? And then you're like, oh yeah, it's because of this tiny little reason. And you should have caught that. But anyways, AI will speed your time to proficiency by like literally 10x when it comes to code. Just don't vibe code. Don't just like have it spit out code and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not like you have to do AI do all the work for you. But if there's like some specific thing you're trying to understand, like it's so useful to ask it, give it a specific scenario, and it will give you an answer, and it'll help you explain how it did whatever.
Yeah.
So that's helped me
Copy
with trying
paste
to
your error
troubleshoot
messages into
some
it.
UI layouts in Flutter. But yeah, I guess that's it for the price report. Thank you so much, Bawdy.
Thank you, Bawdy. You're getting an echo on my end, Tux?
Just slightly.
Hello. Yeah. It's saying we're not streaming on X right now. I don't know what happened.
It said it's having trouble.
Alert.
Well, yeah, I guess it's a Twitter thing.
So, Bawdy, man, I mean, what do you, right? So, Bitcoin potentially likely heading to 100K here. I mean, what other cryptos are you interested in then at this moment that could potentially perform better than Bitcoin? Like Ethereum?
I haven't been looking at the alts too much, but probably Sol. I know that everyone, I know I've talked about it before. Where's my, there it is, my quad chart. Yeah, let's use quad. I've been looking at some international currencies, obviously. Let's go to Sol USDT. Yeah, because Sol is where the degeneracy happens, and if people are thinking, hey, it's, everything's okay, then Sol will be the place that you will end up seeing, stuff happening.
Trump coin in the top 5.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so for example, Trump, he said the top 200 holders of my Trump coin are going to be invited to dinner. So people are competing now for that.
That is unbelievable. We went for, like, I guess the SEC just doesn't even exist anymore.
No, I mean, so Hex, for example, that Mr. Hartcoin, they dropped all charges, not just for Hex, but for Pulse as well, which I was kind of shocked. Like, I was actually kind of impressed with Richard and the way that he did the Hex thing. And like, he actually did a good job of like, it's not a security. And I know everyone hated it because it's like this kind of scam or whatever, but it was less scammy than all the other shit coins. It was like, at least he didn't have admin keys to the contract, even though he had centralized supply, but he did it in such a way that it technically was not a security. He released a completed product and sold it, which is different than what everybody else did, which is take everyone's money and promise a product. So then he screwed up with Pulse, and it technically was an investment contract, per the scribbles, but they dropped that one too. I was shocked. I didn't think they would actually drop the Pulse one, but so if Richard got away with it, guys, mostly everyone's getting away with it. So back to the golden age of fraud.
Yep. And then Trump is, I mean, that's pretty bizarre to me that we're in these times where presidents pumping their own shitcoin.
I hate to say it. I would unfortunately, I'm fucking biting my lip here saying this. I would unfortunately take the problems attendant to like fraud and scams to, that come with more freedom than have some bureaucrats regulating political outcomes and desires and political
Oh
attacks
yeah,
on the
yeah, me
basis
too,
of
me
what
too.
they were doing.
I'm more on the side of like obviously free open market, whatever comes with it. So that's what that's what we're seeing with the Trump.
People
going.
get a better education too. Like if it's well known that markets are fraudulent and scammy, then everyone like just knows that they have to protect themselves. But when you when you take care of the people and you coddle them, then like, oh well, it's okay, we're all protected because the government's taking care of us. Then no one has the mind to realize how to avoid a scam. Or I shouldn't say no one, but most people don't. So, it's probably just better in the latter.
Yeah, 100%. The whole premise of the SEC at this point is kind of ridiculous, especially with crypto. Yeah, all right. Any others that that are like on the top of your list? I guess like you said, all like the degeneracy type of any like
bro,
new.
I'm not interested in getting long any new positions here.
Mhm.
If my current positions are kind of like my hodls,
Yeah,
if those things pump or whatever, maybe I'll exit, maybe not, right? I'll probably look for other opportunities, to try and make some cash here and there.
Yeah, I'm just asking for the audience. I mean, I just slowly accumulate Monero, right? That's kind of my.
I would hate to give any
That's my vibe.
Too specific recommendations because I haven't really like I could try and name some shitcoins for you, but I haven't really been in the shitcoin land analyzing their charts all that much. So at least not on the midterm, long term kind of stuff. So if I send anything here, it would just be like at least half bullshit, but probably like 90% bullshit. I couldn't, other than like saying, hey, Sol is like a pretty big degeneracy platform,
Obviously, it'd be nice to see a privacy rally. I mean, privacy coins have been looking pretty strong, right? These last couple of months and before the rally, right? We saw privacy coins kind of gaining on Bitcoin a couple of months ago.
I mean, there's a little bit of a privacy rally. Xano up 100%, Firo from the bottom. I mean, it crashed a lot, but Firo made 100%. Pirate not doing anything. Zcash not really.
And then we have Tari launching. I don't know if
yeah, I kind of missed that part at the beginning. I heard y'all talking about it, but I missed it. So they're launching for real, finally.
Yeah, supposedly on the 6th.
Oh,
yeah. So that's it. I think that's pretty good timing for them right now. Obviously, it would have been better 3 years ago, but
how much was the final merge mining with Monero? How much was that reduced to? Because every time I looked back, it's like, oh, they're doing less and less and less.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what the breakdown is. I don't know.
Like first it was merge mined, and then it was like half, and then it was like a third.
Yeah, and they're all proof of work, right? They're not hybrid proof of stake. They're all proof of work. It's just two different forms of proof of work, right? I believe.
I mean, I know they went ASICs. They divided it into components, and one of those components is ASICs, I believe, or maybe it was GPUs. But I don't know. That's the last I heard, like years ago.
ASICs. Yeah. Okay. I mean, we'll have them on. We'll talk about all that stuff. But I think overall, it's probably pretty good timing for them, right? With this market rise.
I mean, to the extent that I don't see a reason for Xano's existence that much. Like, I mean, okay, it's gee whiz, right? Cool, but like, should any market cap be flowing that way out of a fundamental reason? No, I don't see it. Like, it's the same thing as Xano, basically. Maybe it'll be less centralized, so that'll be cool. It'll be maybe cool to steal some thunder out from Xano with that very potentially, I think, centralized supply there that they have. And there was no reason to do it that way, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing with Tari though too, right? Because they do have founder. Obviously, I guess not to some large degree, but they do have founders reward, right? And they do have a dev tax. I mean, that was the point I was bringing up to Tux too. It's like Tari seems to completely get the green light compared to Xano, which I find to be interesting when it's just different levels of the same thing.
Maybe it's perpetual dev, but I'm all about the how do I always forget the name? Help me out here. The DarkFi. I'm all about DarkFi. Like, generalized contracts is the way to go. Like, if at all it can be done, if we can do generalized private smart contracts or private contracts, that's the way to do it. Like Tari, Xano, all of that can be built on DarkFi. or can hopefully be built on DarkFi. If you can do a generalized contract schema, you can build all that on DarkFi. And it's the integration. That's where the money is. It's not, it's like atomic swaps are a workaround. And it's like, okay, we don't have another way to do this, so we will do it this way. But the integrated ability to have a decentralized exchange, right, and token assets and all this different kind of stuff, all these different constructions, layer twos, etc. Like that's where the value is the integration there, and the atomicity of all of that, like within a single ecosystem. And that's just what that's what we've seen from crypto for years now. Like having an ecosystem where all of that can be built internal is where the strength lies. And so like I just don't see at this point, like it's just hard for me to see the value proposition of Tari or Xano.
XMR is saying Tari has VC funding, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's interesting to get a free pass. I mean, I'm gonna have him on Monero Talk. We'll let him put the the information out there. It's never it's kind of evolved over the years in terms of what Tari was originally supposed to be and what it's become in my mind. I mean, originally Tari, like the original pitch for Tari was that it was going to be like a second layer to Monero. Like that was the original pitch. And then it became its own coin, its own project. So we shall learn more. But yeah, I just do find it interesting how like the Monero community, there's a subset of the Monero community that's obviously very maxi and has rejected Xano, right? We've seen it here live on the show. And then is that same subset going to have the same tone towards Tari? I'm curious to see.
If Tari does a fair launch and doesn't have any did you say they have founders rewards?
Well, that's what so this guy's saying Tari has VC funding. So like the VCs, I assume, have, get a founder's reward. I'm sure we could pull this up and look up what the Tari breakdown is, but it's, we'll have them on, but
I mean, I didn't feel like it was a ideologically maximalist driven reason for the rejection of Xano. They actually made some good points, and I was like, yeah, that kind of does make sense. Why you would maybe reject Xano.
Yeah, I don't know what the Tari tokenomics are.
Yeah, I'm curious what their final design parameters were. I'll be curious to hear what Mr. Pony has to say. Fluffy.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling Tux, I would love to see a panel with Fluffy, Amir Taki from DarkFi, Andre from Xano. Because I mean, they are essentially all working on solving the same problem, right?
I don't think so. I personally don't think so, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, different approaches to the same end. No, I mean that's
DarkFi is a totally different. It's much broader in scope. It solves far more problems than.
So what would you compare? What's the analogy of DarkFi in terms of non-privacy versions? Is it more like an Ethereum or?
Yeah, DarkFi is Monero's Ethereum, you could say. I mean, I want to say that because then people will hate it, but if Monero is solid digital money and does the one thing and does it well, then DarkFi is trying to be more generalized. I don't know if they're Turing complete. I would have to ask them, but more generalized contracting, scripting.
And then a Xano and a Tari would be compared to what then? What's the analogy for those?
Tokens. They're like tokens, basically.
Well, token creating. Okay. But what chain are they similar to?
I can't think of a chain that they're similar to. They were created specifically to hold NFTs. They were private non-fungible assets. Kind of weird, but yeah, they were created specifically to hold to be a token holding chain.
Mm-hmm.
But all of the token chains are based on more general scripting constructs, right? Because that came along pretty early. So there was never a need to create a private NFT chain, on these other platforms. You just rolled it into the general contracting abilities of Ethereum or whatever chain, Tron, whatever you wanted to use.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if there's actually really a corollary, to be honest.
Interesting.
And if anyone has, could shed more light on that, disagrees, or has more to add there, please sing out.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, you're just like you don't see Tari or Xano like in Ethereum or a Solana. You see them
Not
in
even
their
close.
Own category where it's really just tokens that can be built on a
Maybe they spent a lot. Maybe I could be wrong in that Fluffy comes out and says, "Hey, actually, we did a whole bunch of redesign, and now we do this and that, and it actually emulates scripting." And maybe I'm totally wrong about that because I haven't actually followed their project for like 2 or 3 years. But the last time I was I heard them talk about what their design was. I was like, yeah, okay. It was cool. It was cool in the moment, but now it's like, nah. I mean, DarkFi is supposedly really close here, so.
When do we think DarkFi is going to launch?
I don't know. This last year they said early this year, and now early this year has come and gone.
And then what's there? Are they pure? They're obviously merge mine with Monero, and they're purely proof of work, or they're a hybrid?
No, they're 100%. What's cool is that they spent like 6 to 9 months trying to figure out, can we do proof of stake? Because proof of stake is better in a lot of ways, and I know people hate that, but it's just like facts. But they couldn't figure out how to launch directly to proof of stake. They said there's no way to do it in a way that's fair that can't be gamed. So they said, nope, screw it, scrap it. We're just going to be 100% merge mine with Monero. And that's like, having done like the fact that they went through that, they first of all that they understand that proof of stake is better, but only if you can make sure that the initial distribution of coin is fair. And they couldn't figure that out. And then so they said, nope, 100% merge mine with Monero. Those are like that train or that chain of critical thought makes me really comfortable with the project, because that is exactly the kind of high level correct chain of thought that should be gone through. Like if they could have launched proof of stake,
it was like a real like open source effort of trying to develop this in the most fair way possible, which is nice to see.
Yeah, it's like they said, okay, we know RandomX is really good. We think maybe we can find something better than that. They couldn't, and so they reverted back to what they knew was already good.
Yeah, I mean, so what are their do we know what their tokenomics are going to be? Is it just
in terms of like supply?
Yeah, supply, and then there's no founders or dev tax with them, right? It's just mining turns on.
Yeah, I think it's actually they might have like 1 or 2%. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember, but I feel like they might have had like a 1 or 2%, not dev tax, but maybe pre-mine, or maybe not. Maybe I'm totally out to lunch on that one, and they have 0 pre-mine. I am 100% okay with a very small, like 1 or 2% pre-mine, so that they can continue funding development. 10%'s like you probably don't need that much, but I don't think they're at 10%. I can still tolerate 10%, but
Yeah. We'll have to have a good show comparing all these projects, kind of like on tokenomics and what each can do, like a breakdown of each.
Yeah.
And then so with Xanos with their, you like the proof of stake element that they have, or you're just from a technological standpoint?
Like, I don't know.
Xano guy, Andre thinks like, he wants to make Xano purely proof of stake. He's just using proof of work as, it's there, but ideally they're trying to go purely proof of stake. I mean, he's made comments saying he thinks one day Monero will be proof of stake, which I think is like, that's wild to think that that's what might happen.
I don't like all proof of stakes, just to be clear. Okay. Like that, I don't like all proof of work either. As far as I'm concerned, ASICs are effectively the same as proof of stake. Let me rephrase that, because I actually like proof of stake. ASICs are effectively a type of centralized proof of stake that's difficult to overcome.
Yeah, that makes sense. But
there's a lot of proof of stake mechanisms out there that are provably not fair and not robustly fair. Like Ethereum has provable fairness and robust fairness, and you can show that with math and through simulations. But lots of proof of stake networks don't have that. So I haven't looked at Xano's proof of stake. I don't know if they're provably fair or robustly fair, but they seem to have a lot of the supply, so they're kind of centralized in that way. And they might have even more of the supply. We just can't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're. You should take a look at their proof. I'd be curious to know what your assessment.
Yeah, I'm just not interested in Xano. I don't see their fundamental use case isn't compelling to me, so I just wouldn't see why I would I don't know. Maybe I'll try and check them out. It's the devil's always in the details, you know. Like there's little fucking things that it's like you could have a good system with one little gotcha thing in there, and it's like, oh, actually, that's not fair at all. And the fact that their supply is very centralized, it kind of means that they've sort of they've got the lock on that market, right, on the Xano proof of stake market. Like if no one's using Xano for like NFTs and stuff, and it's like very, very little, like hardly used at all, then even fewer people are participating in the proof of stake mechanism.
Yeah. They need more users to make it fairly distributed proof of stake. We do have a tip coming in. Cypherpunks 1337 tip $7.77. Took a walk earlier to get some fresh air. Unfortunately, stepped in some Xano. Still trying to wipe it off. Wow, says $7 to bash Xano. I love. Let's see. Did we get Yeah, we got 2 tucks and Bawdy up here. We just got. Well, Xano will be participating at PorkFest, which is cool. They're trying to attend in person. So
yeah, to the extent that Xano supports, like sponsors the show and participates in the ecosystem, and puts their own funds towards that ecosystem. I can tip my hat at them and give them a warm thank you.
Yeah, I've always said my reasoning, right, and I continue to hold them as being first and foremost is because Andre is the guy behind Xano, and literally, but for Andre, Monero would not exist. So I'm interested in just what he's working on, like the fact that he's moved away from Monero and focuses on Xano when he's essentially one of the key people that created Monero, right? Created the first implementation of CryptoNote. And then I do think he did very interesting things with creating private proof of stake with Co. Co is, one of the, was contributing quite a lot to Monero at some point. And the fact that he worked on this, that caught my interest as well. And so I do think it's an interesting project in that respect. So, and obviously because they, the contributions they've made to our ecosystem, to Monerotopia, and the participation they've done, I think they've been good sports, right? They come, they participate, they let us ask them questions. I'm hoping Tari will do the same and come and participate with us as well.
If nothing else, it'll be entertaining to have Tari finally out on the market, and we can have something to talk about. Something to play with.
Yeah. It's been freaking years. All right, Bawdy. Thank you so much. Stick around if you can. We'll do the news.
Thank you, Doug. Salute to both you gentlemen.
Actually, we do have our guest.
Oh, we do. Sweet.
Hold on, the view getting screwed up. There we go. So yeah, I guess we'll switch over to that. Thanks, Bawdy.
Thank you, Bawdy.
Thanks, guys.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
Gonna have to get that logo updated soon. Got our guest up here, George.
Hey, can you hear me?
George from Binghamton, what's going on, man?
Yeah, Southern Tier, New York. Not too much. How are you?
Good, man. Good. You want to quickly introduce yourself? I'll bring up your XMR Bazaar post. But yeah, for those who don't know what we're referencing here, George recently, a few weeks ago, posted on XMR Bazaar land that is for sale in Binghamton. I think it's like 16 acres. And he's posted it on XMR Bazaar, so willing to sell it for Monero, which I think is super cool. But yeah, George, if you want to give us a little background, tell us about yourself, and why are you selling your land in Binghamton for Monero?
Well, I was seeing if any interest was there. I like Monero. It's like the closest cash equivalent cryptocurrency there is. And I'd like to see if there's any interest in that. I've seen a few ads here and there for like apartments and thing. So I was like, oh, maybe someone would be interested in land for their Monero. Also, is like, I guess if you're an investor type person and you have like extra crypto laying around, maybe you want to hedge your investments and get some land and diversify your portfolio or whatever.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'll bring up. Wait, let me try to. I'm gonna take your. Is that you on stage right now, or that's?
I pulled that up. It's the Zillow.
Wait, yeah. Let me just bring that down for. Yeah, bring up the XMR Bazaar. There you go.
Yes, I'm Atomic Fox on that XMR Bazaar thing.
So yeah, you have it listed as 16 acres, huge vacant residential land, upstate New York in Binghamton, and it's listed for $85,000, which currently is 371 Monero. I think it's super cool, man. I've never considered buying land in Binghamton, right? It's not something that was ever on my radar, but now that it's on XMR Bazaar for Monero, it becomes interesting. Like you said, it could, if nothing more than a way for people that might want to sell some of their Monero at some point and move into another good store of value. Land has always infamously been a good store of value. Binghamton, New York isn't it? So do you live in Binghamton?
I live in Endicott, like in the same vicinity there. It's like 10 minutes away.
And the land itself, I'm like kind of a little familiar with it. You know, I know the area. I've been through it. I had friends that went to Binghamton University.
Oh wow!
They went to the engineering program over there in Binghamton. It's good school. The location of the land, it's like it's right outside the city itself, right?
It's on the very edge. It still is within the city, which is good and bad. I mean, it means you have the city water and sewer, so there's convenience there for development purposes if you want, and a gas line. That's all like maybe 200-300 feet away at the road where the road ends. So it's not too far to bring it in if you wanted. Electric
Cool.
is pretty close too. There's one pole that goes in there, so you already have like a 60-foot line going in on the one side.
And it's like on a hill on like overlooking the city?
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
It'd be good for like a walkout basement type house, or you could bring in some fill, I guess, to level some parts out if you want. There's some more gentle sloping areas in there as well. There's a rough logging road thing if people have like a 4x4, like a good pickup truck or a Jeep that can get back there pretty easily. And at this point, even like a Subaru Outback or something could get down to the main part pretty easily. But there's another part that you probably want something more significant than that.
And what is it zoned for? Like if somebody bought this, could they just start building a house there? Obviously they got to bring, like you said, bring in the utilities and whatnot, but
yeah, it's zoned as the single. It's a vacant residential land is what it's zoned for currently, and you can build a single family, or I looked into it. You can get up to a duplex there to let you make a 2-unit in those things if you want.
What are you saying? What kind of? I'm surprised. 16 acres. Yeah, I would think they let you subdivide it and build.
Oh yeah, you could do that too. You can make a bunch of different lots. I thought about doing that. Yeah, you could easily put like 30 houses there on like half-acre lots. It'd be pretty nice, spaced out. The actual city lots are on the smaller side. You could make them as small as like 50 by 100, or maybe even like 30 by 100.
A little Monero land in the hills of Binghamton, New York.
Yeah, you could. I thought about making like those like little tiny homes or like small cabins up there. Or someone also said you could do like a Airbnb campground or something. I don't know how. I guess I don't know. To me, it's like I don't know if that would be a need in the area, but maybe.
Yeah, it's like yeah. Is there demand, right? I don't, I guess if it's marketed the right way. How long have you had this land? Is this land you had it for a long time?
I've had it for 5 years.
Okay, very cool. And have you developed on land in the Binghamton area?
No, I have not. It was just
Okay.
I just liked the lot there. I just kind of hang out there occasionally, camp out there, enjoy the view. Nice little thing to do. I thought about
That's.
building just one house out there.
Mm-hmm.
You could build like one nice house out there, and because the hospital is pretty close. The hospital is like maybe you can walk there. It's like 10-minute walk. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is unique, right? Because it feels like it's a big piece of land. It's like very rural, yet it's walking distance into the city of Binghamton, which is kind of cool. It's
right, yeah.
yeah, that is kind of nice. I don't really know much about the city of Binghamton, but I assume there's really not that much going on, right? Like there's a university there. I don't know what Binghamton's like these days.
It depends. I mean,
Obviously.
there's stuff if you like, there's the zoos actually. You could walk to the zoo from there too. The zoo's surprisingly okay considering it's a small, medium city.
Oh, that's cool.
There's the Binghamton Philharmonic if you're into that. They're actually pretty good. So they're on par with big city philharmonic things or orchestral things. There's the vintage arcade on Clinton Street, which is probably one of the biggest retro arcades next to the one in like Laconia, New Hampshire. That one's pretty legit. But besides that one, I would say it's probably like the second or third biggest one in the Northeast.
Oh,
There's
that's
not
cool.
too many.
Are there any like restaurants and bars?
Oh yeah, it's a college town.
Yeah, so
Tons
this
of
is like
bars.
a decent social scene.
And there's a lot of old like Italian places too from the peak golden era of IBM and all the manufacturing that was here. So there's still a decent.
Right, that's when Binghamton was really rocking and rolling, and then I guess there was a big drain, obviously, when they left. So it's like it's still recovering from that, right? I assume.
I'm always surprised the ones that are still here. I mean, BAE's still here. Lockheed Martin's like 15 minutes away. Unilam. There's electronics, a lot of like smaller metal places, EMT. There's a big pipe, plastic pipe manufacturer here. Macintosh, the high end stereo equipment. They're right next door in Conklin, New York. They're big. I was shocked when I found that out.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I didn't know that was still all happening up there.
Yeah, there's a surprising amount of stuff still here.
And obviously, I don't really know much about the land value in that area, but it seems like 85,000 for 16 acres. It seems like a nice piece.
No,
nice
that's not
piece of
bad.
land.
That's right around where it should be a decent buy for somebody at like 4,000 an acre or so. It's pretty standard.
What's like the cost to carry that land if you were to buy it? Like, what are the current costs to carry even just as a vacant lot?
The taxes are around 3,000 a year,
Okay, low enough.
which is not horrible, but compared to other places, it's a little high.
Yeah.
But then again, you are in the city still, and
Yeah.
you're paying for your city conveniences.
Yeah, it's not like $500, which but it's all right. It's still relatively low considering 16 acres of land.
Right in New York, in like a metro-ish area.
Yeah, I mean, I picture like a little Monero spa in the mountains over there.
True, I thought about that. So you could build like a lodge. You could rent out a lodge for like a weekend. Maybe there's people that would be into that, a getaway. People come up here for the weekends. I've noticed that New York City people come up here.
Yeah. If you can make it nice, you can make some nice Airbnb accommodations. Have some hot tubs, some saunas. It could be cool.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
that.
nobody's going to Binghamton for the weather. That's the thing, right? So like,
oh yeah, I always laugh when they put up like these solar farms, and I'm like, it's like one of the cloudiest places around.
Yeah, because you got the lake effects over there, right?
It's like cloudy 50% of the time.
Yeah, that's the thing. So you need some good amenities there. You need some nice spa, nice gym, some maybe some red light therapy.
Right. The lake effect snow's not too bad. You get like a little tail end of it, and you avoid. You're like in between like the nor'easters of the coast and like the lake effect, so you get like a
Right,
little bit of both, but it's not like super crazy.
right. But I think that's where you're getting all the clouds from, though, too. It's probably from the lake effect, right? Like why
I
is it
don't
so
know the
so
cause of
damn
it.
cloudy all the time?
I don't know the cause. Someone should study that. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
don't know
maybe
the
we could.
cause. Yeah, the Finger Lakes are like not that far away. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Okay,
It's like just enough to make a cloud, but not make it rain.
right. Well, it's I love seeing this pop up on XMR Bazaar. Dream come true for me just to see it get posted. So I would love to see. I don't know. Maybe we start to see more of a Monero rally. The broader market starts to go up, and people might be looking to spend some Monero. Maybe some people will buy some land. Buy some land in upstate New York. It is there. It is for sale. What is your crypto story, man? Obviously, you found your way to Monero. Have you been in crypto for a long time? What are you willing
You
to tell us of
know,
your crypto story? You don't have to
there's
divulge more than you want to.
I forget, like, I guess I'm not much. I don't remember the first time I heard of Bitcoin. I guess there was a friend that was into it, and then later on in like 2013-ish, I was working at a pizza place, and this one guy wanted to like start mining Bitcoin, and my first question was, well, like, where's it gonna be, and who's gonna control it, and like, how do I get my half out? And like, that was always a he was always like never like fully transparent about that, so that never got started. But it was like, man,
Okay.
if he was more with it,
That was 2012. You said?
yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd been nice.
So I don't know if he ever did that either, but I
Okay.
was like, well, how do I watch it? And back then it was tough. You couldn't just like go download a wallet. It was like strange. There's
Yeah.
only like one place to get one. Like, he's like, what?
Right. You need to run like the full client and kind of like know what you're doing a little bit. Um,
And then
and then
eventually
go
Coinbase
ahead.
happened, and I was able to get some on there.
Okay.
Then I mined Ethereum for a while in 2000, what was that, 17, 16,
Okay.
17-ish. Then
Very
they
cool.
went to proof of stake, which I don't know. Some people like that. I don't like that as much because I'm a fan of letting anybody like do it. Like anybody with a graphics card could have been a part of it, and I kind of like that aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were just talking to Bawdy about that proof of work versus proof of stake, and then Bawdy bringing up the point that there's not all proof of stake is the same, right? Not all of it's
Right.
provably fair and done in a way that's.
There's pros and cons. Proof of stake is
Mhm.
easier for like the more generic investor. Like, oh, I put my money in and I get a little bit back, kind of like buying a stock and getting a dividend or whatever, or getting a bond and interest.
Mhm.
Versus mining it, I guess there was a technical barrier there. You had to learn how to set all the things up and get whatever program you wanted to run and get a wallet for it to go to. And it was, yeah, definitely more involved than just buying it and okay, here it is.
And then, what was your path to Monero? Were you aware of Monero from the earlier days? Is it something you kept an eye on?
Yeah, like you just hear about it like in the circles of it. And I remember when the whole Mount Gox thing like blew up there and the whole government taking over like Silk Road and all that. And then like I think you like heard it like on the side of that, like, oh, you could have used Monero and not got your Bitcoin stolen by the government or whatever. It's like, oh, what's that?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you keep
Stri-
hearing it, and then eventually you like look at it because you're like, oh, it's that thing that I heard of again.
Right, when you start like you see it in the New York Times, right? It's like, all right, well, you know, People are
Yeah,
mentioning
it
it,
just gets
whether
mentioned,
for
and
good
then
reasons or bad reasons. It keeps coming up as a name, and this thing Monero that they used, like, wait, what? Why are they using Monero?
And yeah, it's still not available on Coinbase, sadly, and I don't understand like why they don't. I guess it's sort of more
Yeah.
complex to have in that sense on an exchange. At this
Well,
point, they
yeah, I mean,
don't like it, but
like, yeah. So
but
yeah, we're fellow New Yorkers, right? So you've both been in crypto for some time now, and you've never been able to get Monero on a centralized exchange here in New York. I
yeah,
talk
it's
about that
terrible.
all the time. Yeah, it's terrible. You cut off so many people, right? Like even you, right? In the earlier days when you first got on Coinbase, if Monero was there as an option, you probably would have bought some, right? You probably would have,
Yeah, I would have
re-
been able to store it because it's more
yeah,
like it's more stable. It's more like flat,
yeah.
like it kind of holds its value in a way.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to go down that road a little bit here and see if we could get Monero listed on an exchange in New York. You know, in New York they have the bit license. The exchanges here in New York that do have the bit license, they offer Zcash, but they don't offer Monero. So I think there's a little bit of that going on. It's a little bit of Zcash versus Monero, and so they don't want to list Monero because they're
Yeah, I
they're
don't know
Zcash.
much about Zcash. Like, what's that about? Like, what's their story? Who owns that? Who made that?
Well, I mean, Zcash has been around for as long as Monero, and
I
it's
don't know.
they have really interesting tech. But the primary kind of differences between Monero and Zcash project is Monero is really always more truly open source. There's no entity that controls Monero. Zcash has a corporation associated with it, which
Right.
there are some benefits to that. It allowed them to basically put money towards marketing and development, whereas in Monero it's just an open source community, kind of like Bitcoin itself, right? There's no corporation, there's no company associated with it. There's no dev tax, there's no treasury of that we can pull from to pay for things, and it's all volunteer based. That's kind of the primary difference between the two projects. And then obviously the fact that Monero has always been private by default from day one, and Zcash has optional privacy. And then there's technological differences between how the privacy works. If anything, Zcash arguably beats Monero in terms of its quote unquote privacy tech. But because of the way it's implemented things along the way and its corporate structure and its unwillingness to be private by default from day one, and the fact that it has this dev tax, Monero has become more trusted as the crypto to use when you want to transact privately. So that's why you've seen it become more adopted in the dark markets. Those that actually want privacy are choosing Monero, I would say, is kind of the difference between the two projects. But what
Yeah, it's
the
been kind
advantage
of known as
the
that.
advantage that Zcash has also had is that it's been listed on more of these exchanges because of that dev tax, because of the founders. So a lot of the early people that were founders of Zcash are also involved in these exchanges and are the same investors that own these exchanges. So there's a little bit of that going on too.
Right. And it's a shame that New York kind of closes its door or sets up that toll booth. I don't know how expensive it is, but even Binance was like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, it's really not even the money. It's more of you got to go kiss the ring, and I don't think anybody can just get one of these bit licenses. It's like political at that point. So
Ugh, terrible.
yeah. So we got to get rid of it here in New York. Maybe that will happen. I'm gonna try to. I keep saying I want to try to help make that happen. Now that we have Trump in office, like now is the time to strike and try to get rid of the bit license in New York, and then we can have Monero here listed on exchanges. A lot of people in the Monero community though will say like, oh, they don't even want to see Monero on centralized exchanges because they like the fact that basically people need to obtain it KYC free, right? They need to do things like sell something for it to get their Monero, or they need to go obtain it on a decentralized exchange with another crypto, so that everybody that is essentially obtaining Monero isn't doing it through a centralized exchange where everybody's being KYC'd. I personally You know, I love that in theory, but I do want to see it on more centralized exchanges so it's more accessible to people that want, like noobs that just want to get some.
Yeah, like when I was starting out, I would have loved to be able to just go buy it.
Yeah. And the difference between Monero and other cryptos is when you pull it off Coinbase or your centralized exchange, nobody knows what you've done with it thereafter. So like, yeah, Coinbase may know that you bought some Monero, but once you pull it off, they don't know. As opposed to when you pull off your Bitcoin or your Ethereum, right? They could see where the money flows thereafter. So if anything, we should be directing noobs to buy Monero off if they're going to buy any crypto on a centralized exchange. Ideally, it would be like a Monero, but it's not on Coinbase. It is on Kraken though. I don't know if you're familiar, but Kraken isn't offered to New York customers.
No, it's not. I've heard of it. It looks pretty okay. Binance was awesome. They made me close my account. I knew numerous people that had to close their Binance accounts. I had a Bittrex account that got closed.
Yeah, New York has really been kept out of the broader crypto market, right? There's been we're in a walled garden here in New York.
It's really unfortunate because it makes it. I would even say it's a class action lawsuit worthy. You made all these people miss out on a lot of things.
Exactly. Well, it's very cool.
I'm not sure if you can even get I know that Coinbase kind of offers some sort of futures now or options now, but for the longest time you couldn't even do that.
Have you, if you don't mind me asking, I mean, how have you obtained Monero in the past? You've used like instant exchanges and whatnot, or
the atomic swap stuff, atomic wallets.
Okay.
Back in the day with like localbitcoin.com.
Okay, you were using like local Monero, local Bitcoin to get Monero.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I guess local Bitcoin got shut down or whatever. That
Very
was
cool, man.
Because that was a cool page.
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to bring some of that vibe back to XMR Bazaar without getting ourselves in trouble, right? So XMR Bazaar, people are using it to post goods and services, but people are also posting like, we'll buy, looking to buy euros for Monero, right? And so we're going to add some more features to make that more usable, like a local Monero feature set to XMR Bazaar. Without us being a part of it,
but they have like those like Bitcoin ATMs. I don't know. Is there like a XMR ATM network?
There are some Monero ATMs around the world, different parts. Yeah, we should have those posted. Yeah, we should have the map of that posted on. We should add that to the XMR Bazaar map. That's actually a really good point. We need to bring that data in there. So any
I've never used one. I hear like they're like a pretty steep, like 7-10% fee or something.
Yeah, usually steep fees, and then a lot of are KYC'd.
How?
But there are
you show
some
up there
places
with cash and you type in the thing. Like, how could they ask you to like scan your like? Would you? I mean, what do they do? Ask for a license? You scan into an ATM? I would never.
Yeah, they ask for things like and like take your picture. I've never used them, but I think
there's
are
one I know of that does accept Monero, but it's like full KYC. Like you had to literally give them a picture of your driver's license and selfie,
really?
Blah blah blah. Stuff,
that defeats the whole purpose.
Yep.
Like ATM.
Yeah, I mean to a degree, I guess. But since it's Monero, at least it's like not your identity isn't infinitely tied to
that's true.
The path that the Monero coins will take. But it's still really not ideal. It's kind of anti-cypherpunk.
Like what is the best map listing all the Monero ATMs? Because we got to add that data to XMR Bazaar.
In the U.S., there's not many. There's just one company I know, Bit Federal, that has Monero on the ATMs. There might be another one, but I don't know of it. Globally, there's definitely a lot more.
Yes, yeah. And some of them globally, I think, where like you really aren't KYC'd, you could basically. I think that does exist.
Yeah, Europe used to have when they first came out. Europe always had like Bitcoin ATMs and like Bitcoin cards you could use, like the bank cards, debit cards.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, that's great. We should get them, and like we still don't have them.
Yeah, these things take longer than we hope for, right? Always seems to be the case. What do you think of XMR Bazaar? I think it's super cool that you found how'd you find your way to it? Was it through the show or just?
I believe that was like a Reddit post on the
very cool.
Monero Reddit.
Very cool.
Reddit used to have a lot cooler like crypto things and like market things, and they seem to like they're a little bit gatekeepier now. They kind of like shut down some of the communities in there, but the Monero one's still there, so that's good.
Yeah, Monero one is still pretty popular. I think we used to have a lot more people on there though, right? On Reddit, on Monero, I feel like it used to be more popular as a place to go, but still has the latest Monero news. Did you post the property anywhere else for crypto, or was it just XMR Bazaar?
Just XMR Bazaar, and I may have made a post in our Monero. The Bitcoin people are really kind of like jerky about stuff. It's like, this isn't about Bitcoin. Even when I asked a Bitcoin options futures question, they banned that too. I'm like, what? It's not about Bitcoin. I'm like, it is about Bitcoin.
That's crazy.
It's like only coin related things.
I do think it's interesting, like, that you found your way to XMR Bazaar and posting it there, and there is no XMR Bazaar for Bitcoin right now, right? There really is nothing that like peer-to-peer market on Bitcoin.
No, and I'm
now.
kind of surprised at that too.
Right?
Localbitcoin.com was the closest thing we ever had.
Yeah, that is amazing. I mean, I love to see it because I love to see that Monero is leading the way there. And maybe we bring Bitcoiners over here to XMR Bazaar, those that are in it for the right reasons, that want to like use their crypto. We are going to add multi-coin options, so you'll be able to pay in various cryptos, and then it would just get instant exchanged into Monero for the seller.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I figured that could be a good way to bring in other people. Maybe somebody wants to go spend their Bitcoin, spend their Dogecoin, but the seller will always receive Monero, so they could get their untraceable Monero in exchange. So that could be a win-win. Yeah, it brings more people into the ecosystem, and then it's still a way for people to obtain Monero.
Yeah, they always try to make it sound bad, but it's like it's the cash equivalent. Like if you said that about you bought a donut untraceably with cash, they always make it sound so bad.
Yeah. That's the hope too, right? We want to change the narrative, right? So XMR Bazaar, it's not some dark market. It's people selling honey, land in Binghamton, selling.
It's a guy with olive oil from Italy. That guy's cool. All the Italian stuff.
Yeah. Have you made any purchases? Have you tried to make any purchases?
I've been sending messages to the guy in Italy. I'm trying to figure out like an economic way if I could buy in bulk or something. The shipping's a bit much for one bottle of olive oil to try it out.
Okay. Yeah, I think that might be the same. I think that's the same guy I bought Parmesan from. It's very good. Very good. It was like really legit.
Awesome.
I know my Parmesan. It was very good. It was like small batch from some town where he's from. Because you don't realize it. Like there's all different, just like there's different variations of olive oil. There's Parm is not the same depending on where you get it in Italy. The farm it comes from. It was very good, very good.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Anything else we should be getting out there? Are you on X? Do you have an X account or no?
I'm Void One T-shirts, but I don't really use it much.
Okay. Well, I'm bringing that up too because we added on XMR Bazaar. We added a way to confirm your XMR Bazaar account with your X account. You can connect it, but I mean, if you don't have much of a following over there, it doesn't really make.
No,
sense.
I'm bigger on Instagram. I like Instagram better.
Okay.
For the original sole purpose of sharing pictures, then it turned into like influencer status.
Yeah. I don't spend much time over there. I'm on X all the time. And then, and so too, we added a way so you can receive notifications on XMR Bazaar via.
I've tried that. What's funny?
We didn't add it. We didn't even launch it yet, but it's like being launched now. But you'll be able to connect your Signal, your SimpleX account, or your session. Like I assume like you use Signal, right? You probably have a Signal account. So then you don't have to keep logging in to see if you missed your messages. So you'd get a message on Signal. Yeah.
Are you like close with the dev team there? Because I think you have to typing in your like seed word every time to get to your inbox is a bit cumbersome.
I'm one of the I'm the one kind of running the thing. Obviously I'm not a dev. So yeah, definitely tight with them. So you're saying every time you log in, it's asking you to re-enter your seed?
Yeah, when I go to click on the inbox, it's like, type in your, I forget if it's 16 or 20 words or whatever.
Yeah, you shouldn't. Well, because maybe you're
it's not
clearing.
Words. It's like it's like like 4 blocks with 4 letters.
Yeah, it's basically your mnemonic. It's your PGP key. But that should only be so. If you don't log out and you stay logged in, then it should be fine. And then maybe you're clearing your browser every time. Maybe is that what's happening?
Yeah, I have it set up to kind of like delete everything. So maybe if I had like cookies and all that, it wouldn't ask me.
Yeah, because you're clearing your browser every time.
Okay.
Even if which is understandable if that's what you want to do, but that's why it's asking you to re-enter your key.
Okay.
But yeah, we're adding that notification that should even be up probably hopefully by the end of the day, and then you could connect your Signal account to it, and you'd get messages on your Signal whenever you receive a DM or if somebody were to place an order, make an offer on your land, just so you wouldn't miss it. You'd get a notification.
I signed up when I made my account. I clicked the yes for the email notifications, and then I wasn't getting any. And then when I went back into the settings, it wasn't turned on. Like it didn't like carry over somehow.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Was it going to spam?
No, I looked in all of them. I didn't see that.
So, all right. Well, yeah, we're making improvements there. We're fixing all the notifications, including email itself, so that you would get notifications on everything. So that should, so hopefully that'll launch by the end of the day today. Yeah, we'll get that up there. Because that's a big deal, because people are missing each other. They're on here, but nobody's like sitting on XMR Bazaar all day to see if they're getting a message, right? Like they need to
it's not at that level yet.
Yeah.
The AOL Instant Messenger, Yahoo Messenger status back in the day.
Hey man, any so since you're somewhat local, any chance we see you at PorcFest in New Hampshire?
That's really funny. Like I've been on their mailing list for years. I've never actually gone though, and I don't even remember how I first found out about it. Maybe like the whole like Ron Paul movement in 08, 09. It like came up somewhere like, we're gonna make this thing in New Hampshire.
Consider coming because we're gonna have a large tent there. We're doing a Monerotopia at PorcFest, so we're gonna have a tent there. We're teaming up with Aaron Day. We'll have speakers, and it's during MoneroCon, which is happening in Prague. So we'll be showing the talks that are happening in Prague there. It should be fun, and then PorcFest itself is it's a good time.
Is there multiple ones? Like I've seen like there's a few different things. Like they do different events. Like there's the one in the summer, and then there's one in the spring, and like they had something that I've missed already this year. I think in April.
There's other things. There's other events that same group throws. But it's there's only one PorcFest per year.
Okay.
That's the one.
Is that is it like a musical festival too, and you can camp out there or something?
It's a bunch of libertarians that are camping out there with their families and then living off of each other. Like, so anybody that like has a campsite, like usually sets things up and like sells whatever, selling homemade
Wow.
cookies, or selling, you know, all different types of food, crafts, whatever. Some people are there performing music. Lots of little like mini conferences kind of happening within PorcFest, like Monerotopia. We're gonna have a big tent where people can come and watch privacy tech talks, but then there's like other tents focused on other things. So it's like this
Okay.
big decentralized conference where people just kind of come and really do whatever they want, as long as
Yeah,
you're
they
not
were.
hurting
Yeah, they
other
caught
people.
my attention because they were like, "Oh, you could use Bitcoin or Monero here," and it was like years
Yes.
ago. And I was like, "Oh
Yes.
wow."
Yeah, it was really one of the first places where crypto was used. I mean, there's stories of people that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars today because they were selling freaking like donuts at PorcFest in like 2011, you know, for
Yeah, should
Bitcoin.
have been on there.
So, but yeah, right now, like, so when you go to PorcFest, like now in this day and age, like Monero's quite popular there, which is very cool to see.
Nice.
Bitcoin, not so much, because people don't want to spend their Bitcoin. They don't want to pay the transaction fees. Sometimes the transaction fees are high on Bitcoin. So people are
Right.
there.
Sometimes
They're
it takes
spending.
long to do it.
Yeah, they're using Monero. They're using Bitcoin Cash. They're using like Litecoin. There's some Dash being used around there, and then like obviously Bitcoin Lightning Network. But I'd say in terms of the most used things are like Goldbacks and like Monero and Bitcoin Cash. It's kind of my anecdotal, observation of it.
Yeah, Bitcoin Cash, but like there's still like a ledger traceability on that, or no?
Yeah, I mean they have tools built in, like Cash Fusion, I think it's called, that obfuscates the amounts and stuff. And I think they're adding more tech, but at at the protocol level, it's like, it's Bitcoin, right? It's a
Right, it's
transparent
still
ledger. It's a
somewhere.
transparent ledger.
Yeah.
So Monero definitely has them beat in terms of being like fungible and private, but they are,
Right. Yeah.
uh,
Do you know the
but
story of like New Hampshire and that like libertarian movement there? Like I'm not sure when that started, but like there seems like that's like the state that has like libertarians and they're all in the state congress and trying to make more
yeah,
freedom and all that.
yeah, it's been going on for years. Well, they've always been the live free or die state, right? And then
Right.
I guess like 20 years ago now, or perhaps a little bit, yeah, there was a movement there where people got together, said let's start moving here in mass, and essentially trying to take over some of the local government and get libertarian people elected and change their ways. And PorcFest is part of that. It's basically that group of people that's been working on making New Hampshire like a libertarian stronghold. It's that same organization of people that go and throw PorcFest. And then
It's an interesting choice because it's kind of cold, but there's no income tax and there's other benefits of that state.
Yeah, it's cold. I mean, beautiful in the summer. Like you're out on
Right.
PorcFest at Rogers Campground. It's beautiful on a sunny day. You're in the mountains over there. Obviously, good access to meat and dairy, right? Good local farms. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's true. I didn't think of that. Yeah.
yeah, it's good living. Great ice cream, right? But yeah, the winters are obviously tough. I mean, if you like a winter, if you like snow, then it's also the place to be for that.
Right.
But yeah,
There's a lot of
it's
lakes
not.
there too. I was surprised. There's some big lakes there.
Yeah, beautiful nature. Yeah, beautiful hikes you can go on. But yeah, it's not. It's not Puerto Rico. It's not Miami.
And for some
It's
reason,
not.
houses always seem expensive there. I'm like, it's really cold here, and it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. Why are houses so much money here?
Yeah, the real estate all over New Hampshire. I don't know. And then there's obviously the areas where all the libertarians are hanging out. I haven't really looked recently to see what things cost there.
It's always been on the higher side. 'Cause I remember looking when like I first heard of PorcFest. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go over there. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's expensive for New Hampshire.
Right, but taxes are low, right? Like you said,
taxes are very low. Yeah, in comparison to New York and other states, it's probably more affordable. the initial like buy-in, I guess, is a little bit high for people starting out on their housing journeys or whatever.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't really looked into there. But yeah, if you're interested, it's definitely a fun hangout. Porkfest. It's in June, mid-June. Starts June 16th.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go. I've just never been over there for that. Went to New Hampshire once and it was pretty nice. I was like, okay.
Maybe you'll find a buyer for your land there. There'll be a lot of people there looking to spend Monero on various things. It's like cool. it's like an XMR bazaar in person in a lot of ways. What Porkfest is. Yeah. All right, man. Yeah, greatly appreciate you jumping on. You're welcome to jump on this show. I don't know if this is your first time even like watching Monerotopia show. Are you acquainted with it? Have you come across the show in the past, or?
I've watched a few videos here and there. Okay. I'm not too familiar with it. Yeah, I looked into it. I was like, oh, you've been doing this show for a long time.
Yeah, we've been doing it for a long time. Yeah, if you ever want to jump up on a random, you were a special guest today, but then we also have viewers on stage at the end of the show, and we just let people in the community jump up. So if you ever want to jump up at a later date to let us know progress on anything, obviously if you ever sell the land to let us know, we'd love to. We could do another show. You could tell tell us how it went. And yeah, man, thanks for coming on, and maybe I see you at Porkfest, New Hampshire.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Sweet.
Thanks, George.
All right. Yeah, thank you, George. Thank you so much. We will move along. We will do news and then viewers on stage.
All right. Let's do it.
The Monerotopia Weekly News segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
Tony.
Realizing I didn't bring up shortwave's tip. Sorry about that, short. Why is the land not priced directly in Monero? Yeah, I would have liked that, but I think we know why. For practical reasons, as much as we love Monero here, it's people are not yet valuing things in terms of Monero. They still value things in terms of the dollar. But I don't know. Maybe it was just an oversight by George. Maybe he is willing to price it in Monero. But George left. Tony, what's up, man?
Hey guys, good. How are you?
Good, man. Good. What's going on?
Been loving the special guest segments. I like when the merchants come in and they talk about the products and what they do, and XMR Bazaar is just getting big, and it's really nice to see.
Yeah, it's exciting to see. I mean, like that's like kind of right. One of the things we would say, like, oh, imagine the day somebody's posting land for sale on XMR, like, and we're seeing it. We saw that land that got posted in Argentina, was very cool. Now to see, Binghamton, New York, like a place that I know, I've been to, somebody's selling 16 acres for Monero. It's kind of a dream come true. I don't know, I don't know if I want to go hang out in cloudy Binghamton, although building a spa on the side of a mountain could be quite cool. Could be cool.
Yeah. It kind of feels like those early Bitcoin stories of somebody selling their house on Bitcoin or stuff like that. That's what it kind of feels like.
I mean, it's a good asset. 16 acres of land in Binghamton, New York. Even just as an investment, just to hold some property. It's not too wild, not too crazy, not too far fetched for that price for $88,000.
That's a lot of space. Yeah, you can do a lot of it. Man.
Yeah. Just to hold some land may not be the worst idea.
Yep.
So we got a lot of news this week, man. You got a lot of links. How we looking?
Oh, a lot of stuff. Like,
okay, we'll let you run through it.
My phone on Monday, and I just saw so many things. Like JD Vance visits the Pope, and the Pope died, and Trump resigned. So I just thought, okay, that's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about next week.
True. That was a hell of an Easter Monday.
Yeah.
What was going on there? Some power moves, right?
Somebody's, I don't know. It's maybe the Pope wasn't wearing a suit and he didn't say thank you, so he just. So, I don't know. it's people are saying so many things. I don't think he killed him, but it's kind of like a crazy coincidence that he visited him the day before, and then I don't know. It's just so many things happening.
I don't see your screen share yet, Tony, so I can't pull it up.
Yep. Actually, I was gonna I was gonna share this thing first. So people are celebrating Monero in Netherlands. I'm kidding, they're not. But
imagine that's Monerotopia 2030.
Yeah. Everybody's celebrating the king's birthday, which is I think today actually. So everybody's wearing orange and walking on the streets, and but this could be Monerotopia 2030. Now let's see. Yeah, let's talk about Klaus Schwab. So I think on Monday, or I'm not sure which day, but it was early of this week, he resigns with immediate effect. After decades of steering with the globalist agenda from behind the curtain, Klaus Schwab, founder of the World Economic Forum, is out. No farewell tour, no transition speech, just immediate resignation. The architect of the Great Reset has left the stage. What does it mean? The man who said you will own nothing and be happy is no longer at the helm. Schwab's WEF-shaped lockdowns, digital IDs, ESG tyranny, and transhumanist vision. His exit signals a major shift and possibly panic within the agenda. He didn't retire. He resigned immediately. A closed-door emergency meeting followed. A successor is being scrambled. The machine is glitching. Why now? What's coming? And what are they afraid of? And I was actually, when I saw this, I was actually thinking about it. Like who's coming after him, or what is going to happen, and what's going to happen to the whole agenda of eating the bugs. You'll own nothing, and you'll be happy about it, and all the things that they've been talking about. And then I saw that the Nestle's former CEO is going to take his place. So Schwab is out, and Nestle's former CEO is in. Following Schwab's sudden resignation, the World Economic Forum has named Peter Breivik-Letmaith, I think that's how you pronounce his name, ex-CEO of Nestle, as interim chairman. Oh, I guess it's interim. I'm not sure if he's actually taken onto his position. But this is the guy who once said that water is not a human right. And I guess he's interim, or he's actually going to be the next successor. I'm not sure.
I mean, Nestle is like the infamous evil company. One of those infamous evil companies, man.
God, the stuff that he's been saying. Like,
yeah.
I actually have a video. So we'll play like a minute of this. But it's just so evil. It's crazy. It's like they replaced Schwab and they brought an even possibly worse person. But I wonder what happened to Schwab. Like, why did he retire all of a sudden? Like, no speech, no... you will not eat the bugs yet, but you will soon. I don't know. So let's watch.
I know. I feel like I'm going to miss the guy, right? Like, no more Schwab.
He can go fall in a pit. Yeah, it was so odd. I don't know.
I wonder if he'll pop up somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like a cockroach, like a bug that never dies. He's in one place, he's gonna be in a different place, never dies. But let's watch this video. I'm gonna play like 1 minute, and he's gonna discuss how is the human right to water extreme.
I think that's a difficulty with the water. Well, I think that's a very, very crucial question. And it is being brought forward by some NGOs in a very simplistic manner. They are saying water is a human right. Therefore, it's not a commercial material. My answer to this is, yes, you're right. Water is a human right. The 25 liters of water that we need as a minimum as a person in order to live decently, which is my 4 to 5 liters of liquid, which I have to take to me, which is about the 4 or 5 liters for the cleaning. It's about the 4 or 5 liters that we need in order to clean the dishes. Yes, this is a human right. But I don't think it's a human right to fill up my swimming pool, to wash my cars, to water the golf course, or even to water the garden, I don't think this is a human right. And if we do not understand that the water, which is a human right, is the smallest part of the water that we are using, and that the big parts, which can be, just to give you a figure, I mentioned we need about 25 liters per day per capita. Well, we are using in the United States about 400 liters per day. So this 380 liters of water, I don't think this is human right, and this should have a price.
Okay, I'm just gonna play that part, but yeah, so, and I like how he already has calculated how many liters is needed, and then beyond that, it's just not a human right. But who are you to say that it's not a human right? That I have human rights only to 25 liters of water, and then beyond that, I need to pay Nestle to get water or whatever. Or it's crazy. So I'm interested to see how WEF is going to evolve, what their agenda is going to be, how is it going to shift, are they still going to be based in you'll own nothing and be happy? I guess, yeah, I mean, this kind of ties into we're not going to own that much water either, because they'll want to control that too. But it looks like a lot like social credit. Yeah, that does look like social credit. And yeah, I guess the agenda is, I guess he's the perfect next candidate. And we got rid of Schwab, and I was happy for one day or a couple of hours until I found who's next, which is this guy. Hence, I guess the war is not over. But yeah, maybe, who knows? I'm interested to see if Schwab is going to have any resignation speech. Is he going to have any speeches, or Peter's future speeches? So the war is not done, and it's still going. So if you guys got excited on Monday for seeing Schwab resigning, don't get too excited, because this guy is next. Ali said on YouTube, you have reached your limit for today. You have been a bad boy, essentially. And that could be it's just anything, water, food, a lot of other stuff. But it's just quite insane to say that you're not, the whole human rights thing into water is just crazy. It's just water. Like, I don't know. But now I want to talk about the Pope a little bit. I know it's not really about Monero, but I said to bring it up a little bit since it's pretty big stuff. But here's a couple of pictures from the Vatican that Zelensky posted, and yeah, people are making these memes now. Tell the Cardinals I want them to know it was me. People are saying all kinds of stuff, that JD Vance killed him, that's all kinds of stuff. I don't know what to say, but it's a little bit funny. A lot of people around the world are sad about Pope Francis passing away. I like what he said here, and I'll have one or two more links about him, and then we'll move on to something else. But the interviewer asked him whether he was allowed to fall asleep during prayer, and he said that fathers always loves it when their children fall asleep in their arms. So I thought that was beautiful what he said. One time he received a custom Lamborghini, and he blessed it, signed it, and sold it for almost $1 million and donated to charity. And I wanted to show you guys this too, because I thought it was interesting that this image of Trump and Zelensky sitting down just one-on-one and talking about what's going to be next about the situation. I did not expect that at all, but I guess maybe the situation of the Pope made him change a little bit. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen to the war. If I think you mentioned somewhere that that Zelensky and Putin should meet. So we'll see about that too. And I also wanted to show you guys Julian from WikiLeaks posts right here. So the post says on X, now Julian is free. We have all come to Rome to express our family's gratitude for the Pope's support during Julian's persecution. Our children and I had the honor of meeting Pope Francis in June 2023 to discuss how to free Julian from Belmarsh prison. Francis wrote to Julian in prison and even proposed to grant him asylum at the Vatican. And that's what Stella Assange said. So yeah, it's sad that Pope Francis died, and we'll see who's going to succeed him. But yeah, now let's talk about mining. So the UN claims mining is a powerful tool for money laundering. And let's go to here. So the UN Office on Drugs and Crime's latest report on Southeast Asia makes no sense. This is an article from The Rage written by Lola. And yeah, so the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, has released a new report titled Inflection Point: Global Implications of Scam Centers, Underground Banking, and Illicit Online Marketplaces in Southeast Asia that appears to be riddled with logical inconsistencies. So they basically talked about how, well, in a case study of clandestine cryptocurrency mining operation in militia-controlled territories of Libya, the UN claims that illegal crypto mining operations provide organized crime groups with a powerful tool for generating and laundering illicit funds while minimizing detection risks. So, and some bad actors are using stolen electricity to mine crypto and to provide funds, I guess, to fund their criminal activities. But also what this article talks about is how, and I think that they know this as well, they should, is that it's actually kind of difficult to mine Bitcoin. And I think they even mentioned it somewhere that for you to actually make money mining Bitcoin, you need a lot of powerful, like you need ASICs, you need high-powered mining rigs, large ventilated facilities, and staff to manage the mining operations. So it's not that easy to just mine Bitcoin and boom, you get the money and you can fund your your terrorist organization. It's costing them a lot of money, and regardless, this is just another attack vector for proof of work for mining, and they're using this as an excuse to attack it even more. And they're doing that every single time they can. But yeah, the United Nations claims that illegal cryptocurrency mining has emerged as a significant concern across the Middle East and Africa, driven by low electricity costs, is then negated by the statement that such operations often rely on stolen electricity, as the very definition of stolen implies that something has not been paid for. So yeah, I think this is just another way of them trying to attack, put some legislation in place, and just shut it down even more. When we've discussed in the past that, anyway, the illicit transactions account for a very, very small percentage to the totality of transactions. So these are just attacks, essentially. That's the way I see it. Now, actually, I just saw this not too long ago, so I didn't get to read the whole thing from Coinbase, but Paul Grewal wrote on X that Coinbase, we built a bunch of tools and partnerships that make crypto bad for criminals and good for law enforcement. Today, I'm sharing the first of several examples of how we help take bad actors off the board. And then Lola retweeted that, and she said, never forget, never forgive, #delete Coinbase. And then there's two images. One says, former hacking team members are now spying on the blockchain for Coinbase. And then in the other one, Saud al-Qahtani, a close media advisor to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who was fired for his involvement in the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, is implicated in contracting the Italy-based hacking team for Saudi Arabia as early as 2015. WikiLeaks disclosed emails between Qahtani, where he contracted the hacking team on behalf of the Saudi royal court. So, as it seems that they are contracting former hacking team members on Coinbase, and Coinbase is just a horrible platform. And before I bring what that article says, I wanted to bring up the subreddit on Coinbase, and I think I've done it in the past. But if you go on the subreddit on Coinbase, just so many posts are about people getting robbed, like this one, for example, the second one, or Coinbase scams, or just lawsuits, fees too high. It's just a horrible platform. So if you're gonna use any centralized exchange, I would not use Coinbase. Like Doug said, it would help if Monero was on Coinbase, because then a lot of people are using Coinbase, and it would help just for visibility, so people could could see Monero, get accustomed to it, get some. But I would be careful with Coinbase. I would go to different platforms, but that's up to you. Now, I've read a little bit about it because I just saw it not too long ago, but this is the article from Coinbase on Consumer Protection Tuesday, how Coinbase is helping law enforcement adapt to a new era. Too long didn't read. Street crime has evolved. Today, a stolen phone can give criminals access to a person's entire financial life, including crypto or Coinbase. We're working closely with law enforcement to investigate these crimes, trace stolen funds, and protect victims. Crypto isn't enabling crime, it's helping stop it thanks to the transparency of the blockchain. And I've read this article, and it doesn't really say exactly how they're going to do it yet. But just a little bit about what changed now is that the phone is a new wallet, and people no longer carry cash. They have their finances on the phone. And how thanks to the traceability of cryptos, they're able to track the funds, track the criminals. But it doesn't get too specific, so I'm looking for part 2 of this in the future so we can discuss more about it. But at this point, just use your local bank. Why? It's just your local bank and crypto. That's what Coinbase is. They have so much information when you want to send your crypto. I've never had Coinbase, but I've seen a lot of screenshots. You send your crypto, and they ask, who are you sending it to? What's the address? What's your passport? What's your this? It's just so many crazy things. And actually, I just thought about what George said in the special guest segment. He talked about ATMs. I have a funny story. I know some time ago I went to Bitcoin ATM. I was trying to get some Bitcoin in my Bitcoin Maxi era. And you got to be careful with these ATMs. The fees the premium on the Bitcoin can be so high, like the price disparity. I don't know, I think the Bitcoin at the time was 40,000 and they were selling it for 47. That's a big difference. And sometimes these ATMs also have cameras installed in them. And some, I think, over only a certain amount, let's say 500 euro, 300, you don't have to provide an ID. But if it's over that, you do need to provide an ID. So if you're going to use an ATM, just be careful. They may have cameras. They may have a lot of stuff installed in them. So we talked about Coinbase. Now, Martin Sellner, he's a journalist, and people have been supporting him. I think he's based in Vienna, from what I've seen. And people have been supporting him with Monero. So he wrote a post. He said, I thank those who supported me with Monero over the past few weeks. I don't know who you are. he can know unless you tell him. Or anyone else, and can thank you personally, but it's working brilliantly, and no bank freeze can stop it. Brilliant. So
he's a controversial right-wing figure, and I think he's been debanked and unable to raise funds otherwise. So it's interesting that he's now fully adopted Monero. Whether you agree with his views or not, I know there's probably plenty that don't. But interesting to see that he's adopted Monero as a tool that's allowing him to get around the banking system.
I've never heard of this guy. Can you go back to what was the post that you were just on?
Yeah, but what was the country that debanked him? Do you know? Was it Austria?
Yeah, I believe he's out of Austria. Yeah, I don't know the details.
Well, that post is in German. This got translated from German.
Yeah, I translated from German.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, let me scroll back, actually. Yeah, there's nothing more. I think I had the article that had some funny comments. I guess I'll find it later. I don't know. Okay. Let's see. Then, last week we talked about this, but again, if you're in New York City, May 1st, Top Key at 7 p.m., privacy meetup. So if you're around, make sure you go. It's gonna be a good time. And are you going, Doug?
Oh, maybe Doug went AFK for a second. He's muted.
Yes, I am planning on going. Sorry about that. Walked away.
Oh, cool. Okay. So
That
maybe
is
Doug is
I
gonna-
will be there too.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, it's gonna be a good time. If you're in New York City, May 1st, pop key 7 p.m. Then Zephyr Privacy posted on X, paying Bitcoin, Lightning, or Monero at yet another merchant with the awesome new Open Crypto Pay. And looks like SPAR are rapidly rolling this out. Excited to see it across their entire line of stores in Europe sometime soon. But the FX posted, we're excited to share that the SPAR Switzerland store in Kreuzlingen, Weinstrasse, is now live. This is the second SPAR supermarket in Switzerland where you can pay directly at the checkout using Bitcoin. So, yeah, that's awesome. Second location. And it's a big store. So, nice that they're just going to keep rolling into more and more stores. So, that's good to see. Then, this is a real-world example of a public blockchain causing a user to lose money, $700,000 in this case, and Monero solves this. So somebody posted on the cryptocurrency subreddit, user loses 700,000 USDT from address poisoning. Not a good morning for one user who just lost 700,000.
Oh, we don't see this link, by the way. I think it opened another tab.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So yeah, not a good morning for one. Yeah, definitely not a good morning for one user who just lost 700,000 USDT to address poisoning. He meant to deposit it to one address, tested with $10, but 30 seconds later, an attacker swapped in that address. Yeah, zero. Okay, 2 minutes later, the victim lost the assets, biggest poisoning loss of 2025. And somebody said, so what's address poisoning? Address poisoning is a scam where a fraudster sends a small amount of cryptocurrencies or an NFT to your account, resulting in a poisoned transaction appearing in your live history. The scammer's address is crafted to closely resemble one you've interacted with, sometimes matching the first or last few characters to trick you into copying their address and accidentally sending funds to it. And then we go back to what some people said on the Monero
Seems
subreddit.
really easy to avoid.
Yeah. Some people say
I don't know
see
why
any-
you would rely on a transaction history for copying an address to send to instead of confirming on the other side.
Yeah, I've never used the transaction history, but yeah, I've always just, yeah. So definitely don't use your transaction history and be careful. But as somebody said, I don't see any reason why address poisoning attacks aren't also possible with Monero. And somebody else replied, because you rely on the user habit of using the recent transactions as an address book, and Monero transactions don't give you that information. So
yeah, if it's being done in that way, where someone's actually looking at someone's transaction history, then then it's not possible in Monero. But also, this seems like it's really easy to avoid. Just like maybe don't rely on addresses from your transaction history.
yeah,
I mean, is that really what this boils down to? And $700,000, I'd be damn sure every character is correct in the address. I mean, maybe this person moves on large sums of money all the time. Maybe that's something they do all the time.
But even so, you send $10, and then you're like, okay, that worked. I'm gonna send $700,000 now. With that amount, I would send, I don't know, maybe 50K batches, or I don't know. That's also kind of funny. So yeah, don't use your transaction history if you're not using Monero or whatever. Copy it from where you're trying to send it to.
And the best way to if you're sending a lot of money, to make it the safest way is using something that's like a hard link. So an established contact that you've used before, inside your wallet, right? Or scanning a QR code, so there's no room for error.
Yeah, I love in Cake Wallet because I save the addresses that I want to send it to, and it's just so easy. I just click on it and boom. Or scan the QR. Yeah, that's what I also do. I've never done it the way this person has done it, so definitely be careful.
Either.
I've never. Yeah, but whoever scammed this guy, and that's kind of smart a little bit.
Big payday for him. Good job.
Got his software engineer salary for for a couple of years.
I'll do a couple super chats here. Emma Booktube, 25 cents. A human right is an action that does not harm anyone else. Sell water for XMR. I love to take expensive showers too, and I'm a fan of Tuxedo. Guessing you're talking about the tuxedo in my profile picture. Thank you. Thank you for the tip. Examiner, tip 50 cents. Hi, Tony. I'm now in Romania and enjoying the lifestyle.
Oh, that's awesome, man. If you have any questions or stuff you want to see or do, you can DM me. I'll be more than happy to show you.
So I said your name wrong. It's XMR. It's basically a spelled out version of XMR. Clever.
I was confused the first time too. Yeah. Awesome, man. I hope you're having a very good time. And yeah, definitely if you have any questions or anything, I can give you a lot of links to places to eat. And it's just, I'm jealous. I wish I was there now. But yeah, and yes, okay, I'll give you my Telegram session or whatever you use after the show. But yeah, moving on. So there's more meetups in Neuchâtel and Lisbon, sponsored by FixedFloat.com, organized by OrangeFren. So with the help of FixedFloat, OrangeFren.com is organizing 2 meetups in 2 weeks. The first is taking place in Switzerland, in a city in the French-speaking part of the country that has a very strong Bitcoin Maxi presence. The second is taking place in Lisbon, the former city of Monero's MoneroCon. Most people are there for Web3 bros. So if you're around, make sure you go to this post on Reddit and click on the links and definitely go. I wish you could go. It seems like a very, very good time. That's very nice to see that there's so many meetups around the world about Monero in all kinds of places, Europe, US. Then this post was interesting too. So let's go to this forum post on Zcash community. And outgoing those posted on the community forum, Monero everywhere. You don't like the title? Me neither, but it's true nonetheless. Every day I do something involving a payment online, more and more places accept crypto, more and more places accept Monero. Zcash. Zcash, what's that? Time to try something different because whatever we have been doing is not working. Well, and some people said, yeah, almost all payments accept XMR, but very few accept Zcash. And yeah,
wow, does CryptoMust not accept Zcash? I've used CryptoMust before to pay for like VPSs. And Monero has always been on there. I thought Zcash was on there too. Maybe not.
Yeah, I guess not. I've never used it, but yeah, I don't know Zcash, guys. What to say? I mean, that's a good thing for you guys too. You know, privacy getting out there, the actual privacy. But yeah, I don't know what to say. Now
people
moving on.
Like Monero.
Yeah, people like Monero. I mean, it's positive for Zcash too, because you guys are into privacy. Now we may disagree on.
Not as positive for their for the investors. Yeah,
not as positive for that, but you guys are welcome. If you want to use Monero, there's all kinds of ways to use it. Cake wallet, get your gift card. Switzerland, go to the store. Yeah. Now, this person posted on, and I thought it was interesting. Somebody said Monero hardware wallet card without seed phrase. Essentially what he's saying is that in my opinion, one of the biggest stoppers for Monero adoption is bad user experience. He talks about the seed phrase, people lose it, a bunch of words. So what if you just have a plastic card with a chip that allows signing transactions? That's essentially what he's saying. Now, people in the comment section in the Monero community said this is an awful idea. Somebody said this is an awful idea. Monero isn't about adoption over everything. Privacy and security is still a fundamental part. If you're concerned about losing your seed phrase, put it on an encrypted USB in a tamper-evident bag and inside a safe. And the thing is just when you have this plastic card now that you are using to sign transactions, but I guess you would have to disguise it to look like a real banking card, because if it if people know what it does, that it's used for Monero, then you're gonna become a target for sure if they somehow see it.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
that would be bring an attack vector to you as a person.
some of this is interesting, but some of this is people just like going way out of their way to do insane things instead of just having the user save whatever it is. And there are ways that we can even improve that already. So like oftentimes, even though like in Cakewall, right, we give the user a bunch of warning screens. It's like, oh, you saved this seed, you better do it.
Yeah.
Screwed. And well, it turns out that half the people don't do it, and they come to support. Oh, my app stopped working, or my phone broke, and I need my money. It's like, sorry, you didn't save the seed. So, there are ways to improve this, like without like doing external things. So, like one thing is we're working on an option that'll just prompt the user to like with the system prompt on their phone to save their seed to their password manager. Now we want to be able to filter to only like good password managers, of course. But that's like a decent option because it's an end-to-end encrypted place to save data. And then maybe even on like the iPhone, utilizing the iCloud backups, like encrypted iCloud backups to save user information. Obviously this isn't something you'd have to use, but just thinking of ways that the average person can get into Monero without degrading the experience for someone who doesn't want to use stuff like that.
Good point. Yeah, and just like 2-3 pieces of paper, write down the words, and it's, I don't know, it's just so safe, and just put it in different places in your house or whatever, and that's it. So yeah, I'm not sure what to say about this, if it's a good idea or not, but it's interesting. But I'm just gonna mention this briefly, talking about far-fetched ideas. The guy about the satellite from last time, he posted on the Monero subreddit an apology.
Oh, wow, I haven't even seen this.
You haven't seen this?
Nope.
Yeah, he posted an apology to Monero Talk, and just I mean, it's interesting. I mean, they just said we're not scammers, just volunteers, and no team profiles. We're still recruiting. Empty GitHub repo. It's brand new. Stumbling on tech questions. I'm 12 while I code. Yeah, they try to clear up basically the poor internet connectivity and just all the stuff that happened. But yeah, I'm curious to see how this is going to evolve. I'm not. I don't know. It's just so much money. And then my main concern is, and something that they really have to think about, is that if they do launch the satellite and they actually do get it in space, how do you prevent it not be taken down? Because, and I have just one quick article. Like it does happen that, like for example, USSS's Russia launched space weapon in path of American satellite. Like Russia, or just these big powers, big countries that are setting satellites, and they're trying to basically take control of the low orbit. So wars are definitely going to happen in space soon. Soon. So even if you do get this satellite up in space, and we spent all this money and it's working, and now North Korea and all these places, they get access to Monero and it's great, they can just I don't know, they can just take it down. They can just shut it down. So I don't know. They really need to. I would say, I'm not sure. Really look into these factors as well. But I'm curious to see how the development is going to go and their team and the GitHub. But yeah, I wish them luck for sure. It's interesting, and I gotta say, for being 12 years old and I guess being at the forefront of this, it's impressive. So
yeah, it's kind of weird. It's hard to. I mean, here's what you should do. Appreciate you coming on last week, even though it was hard to talk. You should have somebody. Well, first you should have some like more stuff to show for, like on the repo, because like we're looking at this and it's like all empty, it's all new. It's like, oh, we have nothing to judge by. Like there should be some stuff up. Not a lot, not necessarily everything, because obviously in order to get this going, you need some funding, right? But like you need someone that is a fluent English speaker that can properly communicate the goals, the team, like what the values are, what's going to be done, how the project is going to go, what it provides, what it fixes. Because I think right now, this is not the best use of time for like. There's a lot of things that Monero could use and need, and this is not it. This is not one of them, at least in my mind. There's a lot of things that you can improve Monero now before like this is like satellite systems kind of extreme. But it's interesting nonetheless. But if you had someone that came on that was a fluent English speaker that could probably communicate this, maybe it'd get more people interested and not immediately assume about being a scammer. Because being able to communicate is really important.
Yeah, I agree. Basically what Doug said. But yeah, I'm curious to see how the GitHub development is gonna go and all these things. And I wish you guys luck for sure. And
I mean, it's hella cypherpunk. Like, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
it's hella cypherpunk. It's just kind of a interesting place to put a lot of resources when there's a lot of other things that Monero could use right now, improving on. So
yeah, like the first time I saw it, you jump a little bit because it's it's out there, it's big, but yeah, good luck to you guys. And okay, yeah, the last post is this one. I guess somebody bought 50,000 euro worth of XMR today in a peer-to-peer transaction, and this is the cash. So that's cool. But yeah, guys. So this was this week's news section. A lot of interesting stuff, and I'm curious of how WEF is going to develop. And I'm very excited to talk about it in future episodes for sure. But have a good weekend, guys. And unless there's any super chats or anything.
awesome, thank you, Tony. No new super chats. Someone said it would be great to have Monero Pay added Cake Wallet support. What does that mean? Monero Pay, like the POS system? That's kind of a separate project. If that's what you're talking about. Monero Pay is for like merchants for receiving. You can send to a Monero Pay merchant from Cake Wallet. But Cake Wallet doesn't have a specific merchant mode, if that's what you're asking about. All right. I think with that being said, we're probably going to go ahead and move into the viewers on stage segment. Thank you so much for doing the news, Tony. Stick around if you want to. If not, have a great day.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend. See you
later, Tony. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
It's the Viewers on Stage segment. It's that time where we invite you, the viewers, up on stage to comment on anything you've heard so far today, ask the guest a question, or maybe talk about one of the news topics. Come on down.
All right. Bringing everyone back up here.
Good morning, everyone.
Alaskanon is now a wizard cat.
It's just so cute. I mean, look at this. It's the tinfoil hat that does it, though. I think it fits the character that I play on the show.
Very real. Very real.
He looks ferocious. He looks crazy. It's like, it's the character.
We got Alaska now. We got Shortwave Surfer, George still up here. I don't know if any of these people are actually AFK or not in Bawdy.
I am here.
Hello, Shortwave.
He's always here.
I can always rely on Alaskanon and Shortwave.
Anybody new want to jump up? Let's put the link in the chat. If anybody new wants to jump up, talk about anything Monero related, now's the time.
I just thought I would share with everybody that in about 30 or so minutes, I'm leaving to go to a comic convention with an actual IRL Monero-chan and a Bawdyanarchist. My daughter's gonna dress up as Bawdyanarchist because she's got like the blonde hair, blue eye thing going on, and so they're going in the Monero cosplay to evangelize the people. That's what the subtitle
Oh,
is.
that's awesome.
Where is this?
Alaska has 2 like comic conventions, one in Anchorage and one in Fairbanks. I'm going to the one in Anchorage. The Fairbanks one already happened, well, at least for this year. But it's there's lots of nerdy things going on, and apparently, like, this may shock some people, but the comic nerd and crypto scene seem to overlap a little bit. So I'm going to see if I can exploit that to spread the good news. The one true currency is here to redeem us all from tyranny and slavery. You know,
I feel like they'd be into like NFTs and stuff. No.
I mean, we'll find out. This may surprise some of the viewing audience. I'm a little bit of a nerd, so we will see. I definitely speak nerd at every level. Like, I've done the comic thing and the tabletop thing and the anime thing and all of that. So I think I should be able to blend in pretty well. But we will see just how far down the rabbit hole people are willing to go. And it's my best friend's birthday was on Wednesday. So this is kind of like we're going for his birthday as well. So it should be fun.
Alaskanon will convert the sweaty nerds to Monero.
The sweatiest ones are welcome, for sure.
And we got Slave Blocker in the comment section. Haven't heard him in a while. It's been a minute.
Come on up, man. We miss you.
I do want to mention, I think I can say this because it's actually in beta right now, but let me check. So Cake Wallet 4.27 is currently in beta. And this version introduces some huge improvements to background sync. So really, really, really cool. Yeah, okay, it's already in beta. So you can try this right now if you install the beta. But this version of Cake Wallet introduces some improvements to background sync. So all wallets except Decred can now background sync. And also, you will now receive a notification when you get a transaction in your wallet. It'll send a notification locally on your phone while it's background syncing if you have received a transaction for at least Monero. I haven't tried this out with any other wallet type yet. It looks like it probably works with other wallets too, but for Monero, at the very least, you will receive a notification on your phone if you've received a transaction, which is very cool.
So this will only happen when it background syncs, right? So like if I set it up for every 24 hours, if I've gotten a transaction in the last 24 hours and haven't checked my Cake Wallet, I would get a notification of that happening. Or if I set it for like an hour, I would get it the next hour that it syncs, right?
Correct. It's not a live thing because it's relying on the device to be actually syncing and running that foreground service. So it'll, it might be like a transaction from earlier that day that you suddenly get when the site starts background syncing. But if you have your phone to be more aggressive, so like, I think the aggressive
While on Wi-Fi,
once
for
every
example.
15 minutes. Or yeah, while on Wi-Fi, you could set it to be more aggressive.
Yeah, aggressive is 15 minutes, and then there's an hourly setting, I think, as well.
Yep. So if you do aggressive, then it's pretty, you're receiving notifications pretty soon after you have gotten a transaction, assuming everything else is okay for it to run the background service. And there's more settings to control how that service runs now. So you can limit cellular data usage. You can make it so that the device has to be charging. There's a bunch more settings so you can control how it runs in the background.
Also, the 4.27 update should fix the accessibility issues. I think I saw a pull request merge that fixes that accessibility problem that I brought up.
Yeah, hopefully that will. You could go ahead and try the beta and let me know if it does.
I can't because I don't have Google Play.
Don't need Google Play. You can. I think these are on. Let me see if it's on GitHub already.
I was going to say, are they on the GitHub? Because then I can.
We do release. Yes, it's already there. It's under the pre-release. So if you go to the releases tab, it won't show up on the main page because it's a pre-release. But if you actually go to the releases page itself, you will see 4.27 with the APKs.
All right, I will do that then and give it a shot.
Hey, Tux, what are the reasons
private
why
25 cents. Sorry, go ahead, buddy.
what are the reasons why on the topic of cake, what are the reasons why you might see a transaction just like spinning its wheels, trying to create the transaction for like 60 seconds or maybe 100 seconds? Like it's almost always, I don't know, like 3 to 10 seconds, but sometimes, man, it just sits there and it just like spins and it spins.
I did have this happen a couple times recently. There's possible there was a change that caused some slowdown, but I also noticed that it's highly dependent on like the network environment because it has to do communication with the node for getting the fee and a couple other things. And also, if you have a lot of outputs, it'll also make it take longer, but that is kind of extreme if it takes 30 to 60 seconds. It is possible it was waiting for a connection that was failing.
Unless
Okay,
you're
yeah,
on
so if
tour,
you've
then
got, like, yeah,
unless
if you're on
tour,
tour,
then that's common.
yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Would anybody mind if I kind of dove into a rant that comes from the news section? I want to leave space, but I also have to leave pretty soon. But
I wanted to ask the difference between a cake wallet or like atomic wallet. Like, does anyone have an opinion on the best way to get Monero? If one's better than the other?
I am not sponsored by Cake Wallet, and I don't work for it. So afterwards, maybe if these other two gentlemen wanted to chime in, but I just want to, like, the simplest way that I've ever been able to put it is, for one, Cake Wallet has an incredible user-friendly utility suite for normies that just want to play with Monero. Like if it's legal to buy or sell Monero in your area, Cake Wallet makes it just ridiculous easy. It follows kind of the keep it simple, stupid methodology for how can a normie get their hands on it and so on. The user interface is clean. It's constantly being updated to make it as clean as possible for somebody to just use Monero. They always have kind of like a bleeding edge feature set for what the people want. But the most important element for people who might be watching this show right now that I've found is, to this day, the Monero.com/cake wallet situation has been the easiest onboarding process for a crypto Luddite that I've ever found. It has remained that way since day one of using them. And then their aggressiveness with participating in the crypto community just generally, and sticking to kind of the core cypherpunk ethos while keeping everything like compliant and legal, is top shelf. And it's not just because I'm on a show that is like very involved with Cake Wallet. Anybody who knows me knows that I don't give a shit. I'll say whatever. But the thing is Cake Wallet is like the normie friendly version of cypherpunk wallets. It's always been that way. They've shown no signs of deviating. And after getting to meet a lot of the developers and the staff and all of that from different events and stuff, each and every one of the people on the team are just as all about the cypherpunk ideology as like the original Bitcoin people. They've always been those people. It seems like Vic is pretty cautious to only hire people that believe in that sort of thing. And then after hearing some of Vic's talks about the whole, he entered the space and saw a desperate need for a wallet that just works and is like
Right.
plug and play.
Yeah, because even the Monero GUI or whatever wallet was not the best.
Yeah, it's definitely like, I at this point I've tried to use just about everything you can think of. I even try to use everything that gets brought up, you know, as they're being pushed out. The only thing that my wife uses, that my neighbors use, everybody that I know, it's always Cake Wallet or Monero.com. Honestly, it's mostly Monero.com wallet, which is basically the same wallet, just one of them is Monero only. And it's the same team, same everything. But like nobody even wants to use anything else after they get to Cake is the only thing that I've ever found. And I always end up going back to it. Like, what do I use on my actual daily driver phone? It's only Monero.com wallet. You know, I have an extra phone with Cake wallet in case I have to interact with some other crypto or whatever. But it's the only thing I ever find anybody using once they've kind of like scoped out the field, or even if they just started using Monero for the first time. It's always a Cake wallet something. It's a Cake wallet or a Monero.com wallet every time, because it's just the best for a normal daily driver wallet as far as I've found.
I think I might be the exception to that, because I do have Cake wallet. Well, I do have Monero.com. I don't have Cake wallet. I do have Monero.com, and once in a while I use it, but I actually found another wallet that I prefer, but it's more of an advanced thing because of the fact that it doesn't have connections to external sources. So it does not have a fiat API. So I'm not reliant on some other source to tell me what the fiat price of Monero is, and it doesn't have the exchange stuff built in. It doesn't have the Cake Pay and stuff built in. And the reason that I do that is just because I'm a real purist, and I want my wallet to make no external connections at all. I don't want it to have the capability of making any external connections before I can turn off the external connections. That's my reason. Also,
Yeah, there's always the power user exceptions, but I'm sure even in the case of like if Shortwave were to try to onboard a normie, he's still gonna point him to like.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I cannot do 4.27 tux because Cake Wallet has 4.27 betas, but Monero.com does not.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't know why they. I think usually the beta is the only Cake wallet gets released for the beta.
Yeah, see, I don't use those other currencies, so I don't have Cake Wallet installed. I only use Monero.com.
So what wallet do you use that doesn't have external prices in it?
It's called Monfluo, Monfluo.
I'd like to remind you that you can turn all that off before you even set up a wallet.
Really?
Awesome. Yeah.
Yes, when you start the app for the first time, and you're in the wallet creation flow, if you tap the advanced settings on the bottom of the new wallet page, you can set everything off. You can disable fiat API, you can disable exchange, you can disable the service bulletin, and you can add a custom node before even finishing the wallet creation.
Okay,
Just
I was
FYI.
not aware. I was not aware of that. Thank you.
Honestly, that's the biggest weakness of the Cake Wallet team is they have so many awesome features and so much customizability. And there's like, they're always so far ahead of even the knowledge base of how to use it, right? Like what would be amazing is if people would stop relying on the Cake team for like literally everything and would start producing videos on like how to use this new feature, or, you know, because I love the fact that it's always like a dev-centered culture over there. But in my opinion, it's actually the shortcomings of the Monero community itself, where we are not making it clear that you can use all that. I mean, I didn't know until he just said it there. You know, if it weren't for people using Bird Pay in the community and like showing like when Vic uses Bird Pay on Twitter, like who would even know that exists? I mean, that's cool as hell. You know, the fact that that even exists is amazing, but I wouldn't know about it if it weren't for people just using it publicly in the community. That's what we need, like people who are purists, or, you know, like showing that you can use these features that way. Yeah, and of course it needs to be default where it's on, because otherwise the normie is going to be like, well, how do I know how much to send and stuff, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge building a wallet that, because like the goal of Cake Wallet from the beginning was to be super easy to use, and to be easy to use is that you do have to have certain defaults and certain things enabled for people who have no idea what's going on. So it is a challenge trying to do that while also making it work for more power users. But I think the thing is just giving users the option from the beginning, right? So like yeah, we don't ask you because we want, if the user's starting the app for the first time, we don't want them to have to be bombarded with a bunch of prompts like, oh, do you want to turn this on? Turn this on? Those need to be on by default. But if you are a power user, then you can go out of your way to just disable that from the beginning before the app is in use, or you can change it afterwards, of course. So it's a challenge, but just making as much opt in or opt out as possible is definitely like where it's at for us. And if you're
Also-
someone who wants absolutely nothing, then yeah, I'm sure there's some wallets for you that have like nothing except for just like using Monero, and that's it.
Yeah, and that's kind of me. But also, I love Cake, but I'm definitely willing to rag on it when it deserves it. Like when they decided to remove the F-Droid repo, I'm like, no, this is not okay.
Well, we didn't want to. It was just a problem. But someone at the team just created one for fun, and he got it to work. And so we're like, okay, we'll just use this one and use it with the existing domain, and then no one has to do anything else. So the reality is that F-Droid server is not well maintained. It's somewhat unreliable, but it is what it is.
Who makes
And
the Monfluo wallet?
It's made by a developer called ACX.
Okay. How about Exodus wallet? Does anyone have an opinion?
No,
on that?
no.
To be fair, it definitely has its use cases, but
The irony about that question is maybe you already knew, but Exodus removed Monero, and they basically
they
moved
did?
off. Yeah, so basically we actually had a thing with them. They onboarded all of their Monero users to Cake Wallet directly because they're removing Monero from their wallet
that's nice of
altogether.
them. No,
They're becoming
I've
more of
never
a
used it.
service-based
I know
company.
a few people who did though.
Yeah, Exodus.
if you have to get in and out of Monero a lot, having Exodus available to you in your toolkit is wonderful. So even though you can't, well, I mean, shortly, I think you still technically can, but it like a week or so, you won't be able to use Monero directly on the wallet. I hate to say it, but I kind of agree with their decision where the Exodus as a wallet will be a powerful tool for a Monero user if they have a lot of in and out transactions in the crypto space, like to go from one to the other. And so I don't
What do you
ever
mean by
do
this?
that.
Did you like buy Monero
So-
directly on Exodus or something?
Well, no. This is hard for me to speak from a position of knowledge on because I'm like so far out of the everything but Monero ecosystem, other than just like kind of watching the technology and stuff. But the Monero has a on and off ramp condition, right? So it's very difficult for some people to get in and out of Monero. And I think if you already have something like Cake Wallet, Exodus can be another useful tool for if you do a lot of crypto swapping or you accept a lot of non-Monero, or, and then having Cake Wallet as well would then allow you to get in and out of other cryptos and get into Monero. Now, that is so far outside of what I do, right? Because I'm just like burn the government down and don't use anything but Monero. But like the need that let's say like the Monero backpacker idea that Swoops has been building, this idea of there being your local Monero exchange guy, that can get you in and out of cryptos and fiat and all of that stuff. And that's just like what they live to do. Like that's what they're expected to do in their community. An Exodus wallet would be part of that toolkit from my extraordinarily limited understanding of what they're trying to do. But they're just basically trying to become like the business formal wallet, or what reading secondhand what it is that they're trying to do, it's hard for me to know exactly what they're trying to do, but basically they're just trying to become like a banking system friendly wallet. If I'm getting what they're laying down correctly, which means get out of Monero, right? But that doesn't change the fact that you can go from Monero to another cryptocurrency to bring that onto Exodus wallet and do your swaps and everything, and then get back into something like Cake wallet and then go into Monero. And that's useful.
And here's the reason that I so vehemently said no. First of all, they are removing Monero, so this soon won't even be a problem. But the reason that I so vehemently said no is because Exodus is not open source. And if it's not open source, you should not trust it.
Is Atomic Wallet open source?
I don't know about Atomic Wallet. I just know about Atomic Swaps, and those are open source. But I do not know about a wallet called Atomic Wallet, so I would have no idea.
It uses the
I've heard
Atomic
of
Swap
that
system.
wallet. I don't know if that one's open source.
I don't know if
I
you
don't
guys
know either.
see Wawnero and Monero-chan going to.
Wow, you guys are gonna kill it. You guys look great.
Nice.
Yeah, and then the ugly bouncer guy or whatever. I don't know. The caveman.
Bodyguard.
I guess the mountain anarchist bodyguard guy. So
Okay.
I don't know about
guys
you
like-
guys, but personally, I recommend Cake Wallet. You know,
definitely for 95 to 99% of everybody that I've ever talked to that uses Monero, Cake Wallet or Monero.com wallet is like hands down the best choice. And I'm not saying it, but Tux, I knew Tux before he worked at Cake, and I would have said the same thing to him and the same thing to this audience before then. Like it's just the way to go for the vast majority of people that need a wallet. It's the way to go.
Oh, I completely agree. And I keep Monero.com around because I do like it. So it does have an appeal to me. So I definitely keep it around. And since it is such a big player in the space, since my focus is accessibility and I want to make sure that everything's all right with that, I'm testing it constantly to see, hey, is this thing still accessible? Which is why when they rolled out that new design for the sending UI, I'm like, okay, let me go and test this. And then I found out that it wasn't letting me send transactions with a screen reader. So I'm like, hey, this is a problem.
yeah. Sorry about that. That's less than ideal scenario. What kind of screen reader do you use, by the way?
I use TalkBack on Android.
Okay, so it's pretty standard.
Yeah, I only use standard when I can.
All right, before I leave for Comic-Con, do you guys mind indulging me on a little bit of a rant?
Go ahead.
So, hold on, let me get Dell comfortable. Hold on. All right, so the whole card thing. You remember when they were talking about like having a card that signs transactions, and then there's this back and forth about security and all this other stuff. The ultimate path forward for a security conscious Monero power user, which is pretty much everybody listening to this show right now, as long as I can maintain my security in the best possible way, I should not be opposed to other people using it in a way that is convenient for them. And what I mean by that is, if they want to be able to use Monero like a debit card, or if they want to be, even if there's like some kind of security hole or whatever, the reality is more people getting on board with Monero is a larger feature set for my ability to spend Monero privately. For the price of Monero, it's good for it. I mean, I see no downsides to, as long as it can be used relatively securely, that would be enough. And it doesn't matter if other people are compromising their privacy a little bit, if it allows me to use Monero in more transactions. So if somebody else has adopted Monero because they can use it like a credit card, or if somebody else has adopted Monero because the ease of use for them is acceptable. And now I can pay for my doilies or my widgets or whatever. And I
Based on what
otherwise
you just said, I want to give you a cool scenario that I recently figured out you can do. Only works if you're using, unfortunately, only works if you're using stock version proprietary Android or an iPhone. But I did get an iPhone recently for some work stuff. I know iPhone, bleh, but there's this cool thing you can do, which relates exactly what you're saying, Alaskan, on where you can buy a Visa debit card through CakePay or through like coin cards, and you can add it to your Apple Wallet, and then you can use it in person with Tap to Pay. So it's almost like you're able to sort of kind of spend your Monero in person. Now, it's not directly Monero, you're using a card, but it actually works really well. So if you're
Fiat is a Monero layer 2.
Yeah, basically Visa is the layer 2 for Monero.
Do you mind if I just add a little bit on top of that, which is, imagine when people say, okay, well, if I accept Monero, then how will I use it? And you have your buddy that uses an iPhone and you say, well, I paid him in Monero 2 minutes ago. Watch this. He's going to use it right now at your payment terminal like anybody else would. And then he spends it. And the guy's like, how, I just got dollars. And you say, that's because of how highly liquid it is between the two. And all of the sudden the light comes on and they're like, oh, this is literally as good as cash. Like the adoption function of being able to Apple Pay Monero, whether or not there's 2 layers, 3 layers, it's the fact that you proved it. You see what I mean? Like, and that's one of the reasons why I say we should be championing any and every payment lane that is still within the boundaries of I can still maintain my security to the standard that I want to maintain it. But other people that want to use it this way are free to use it this way. What could possibly be more anarchist and cypherpunk than that?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't even know you could do that. Buy a card on the Cake wallet and then put it on your Apple Pay. Does that work with anything else?
I gave my wallet to my wife so she could go do stuff with my wallet. And then she left it at home and met me at a restaurant. And all of a sudden we were at a restaurant with no cash, no nothing at all. And all I had was my cell phone with me. And she's like, oh, great. So you're going to have to wait here and I'm going to have to drive home and get your wallet. And I'm like, no, I have Monero on this wallet. And I was able to just pay for dinner and leave. And I did things that I normally wouldn't do for privacy reasons, but it made sense to do in that situation, right? Where I could take my Monero and turn it into dollars and use those dollars to pay for dinner, including a tip, by the way. And I hate tipping not in cash because now that person may have tax liabilities on record. But the fact is I was in a situation where I needed dollars and all I had was Monero on my cell phone. And thanks to Cake, it's like I had it there. I was able to use it. And now I am free to leave the restaurant having paid for my food and drinks.
That's awesome.
Do you need an iPhone to use that, or is there like an Android equivalent to that?
You have to be on stock.
If you're using like any Android phone that doesn't have a modified operating system, so like I use Graphene OS. That's like a very custom version of Android. But if you haven't modified your phone, you can use Google Wallet, and you can add a CakePay Visa debit card to your Google Wallet and do it the same the same way you would do it on an iPhone, basically. And the experience for buying the cards isn't the best right now, because you do have to use like an external browser to purchase the Visa debit cards and then put in some information. But we're going to have a new card provider, and we'll be able to do all of that from inside the app, and you shouldn't have to leave the app at all. should be very nice.
I was about to say, maybe link up with the Green Dot people, because you can buy those at CVS and they don't ask for anything. You just put cash on a card and it's on a card, and you can use it anywhere a card is used.
What is that? Is that like a prepaid card provider?
Yeah, like Green Dot, or there's
yeah.
another one. I forget their name, but yeah, if you go into like a CVS or like a Walgreens, they have those options there. You could put money on a credit card and then you can just use it.
Another cool thing about Green Dot is like, so as a highly debanked individual, that I once had to do loads in a trucking situation for people that only like, what is that called, where you have to, like, they pay you into a bank account or what, I don't know, that's normie land stuff, but direct deposit, that's what it's called, direct deposit. Yeah, like, so I was able to set up a Green Dot account for the purposes of direct deposit, and this was like way back in the day, and I was even able to get in and out of crypto using that account, and that was like a long time ago. But Green Dot has actually been pretty based on like as little as possible required to get in and out. I don't know what dealing with them at like the corporate level would be like, but I mean, you gotta love people who are like as non-KYC as possible.
And Green Dot is also fairly well known. Like, that's not a small provider. That's pretty darn recognizable.
Right.
I imagine they probably wouldn't work with crypto in order to keep their requirements low, because most TradFi services don't work with crypto, and then if they do, there's a lot more scrutiny that's put on top of them. But another cool thing about using the Visa cards, like with your wallet on your phone directly, especially Apple Wallet, Google Wallet doesn't apply quite as much, is depending on the card you buy, like some of the cards require some sort of KYC. Like, you don't send them a picture of your license, but they expect you to put a name and an address. Whether it's real or not, I don't know how they check that. But assuming the card doesn't require that, you basically have an anonymous debit card that you can use in person. Because the way that Apple Wallet works, as opposed to Google, well, you know, they're an advertising company, so they want to know everything you're doing and everything you're buying. So they get to see all of your transaction, all that history. But Apple Wallet doesn't. All the data that's stored in Apple Wallet's actually end-to-end encrypted. So it's almost like, in a way, you have a almost kind of like anonymous debit card you can just use with in person. Because normally those cards you can only use online, because when you buy these Visa debit cards on CakePay, you get a number. But if you want to use it in person, you can add to your Apple Wallet. So, and that lets you use it in person. So it's almost like anonymous. It's almost like using cash, and sort of weird roundabout way.
That's amazing.
Well, regular payment terminals can accept credit cards via
you can punch in them.
You can actually punch in the numbers, but generally they only let you do that when
I didn't know that.
Generally they only let you do that when the card has failed to read in the little chip readers like 3 different times or something like that. So there's got to be like this dance to do it.
I actually didn't know that. That's interesting. I've never seen anyone do that, for the obvious reason of that's like crazy. That's like a pain in the ass.
You can punch in the 16-digit number, the expiration date, and the CVV, and get it to go through.
If anyone needs to use that technique that Shortwave just described,
bring a fake card with you that's like doesn't actually work.
Tux, don't say it like that. But you, from the perspective,
not a fake card, an expired card.
Yeah, from the perspective of a retail worker, if a card looks dirty and beat up, like let's say you're a general contractor and your wallet goes through hell every week, and it appears to have some silvery rectangle with rounded edges on a certain area, and maybe the card is split in a certain way, and you can see bent plastic kind of, and you attempt to get it read 3 times, and then you say, it looks like I'm going to have to punch in the number. And maybe you say something that could theoretically be true, like, I have another one on the way, but this one hasn't been canceled yet. So it should work if I just punch in the number. They'll be like, oh, okay, I've done this before for some other guy covered in dust from a construction site.
So
You see,
Alaska was saying to sand down your cards to make them
yes,
less reliable.
or maybe, you know, if you were somebody that we're not endorsing at all, and you had a card that wasn't actually from a major banking institution, and you just didn't tell them that that's the case, and then you go through the ritual, and then you punch in the numbers, and maybe your Georgian bank account just happens to have money in it. Okay, like that. All of this is ways that you can exploit the system the way that you need for your own personal and lawful reasons, of course.
I used to work at a pizzeria, and when people would order over the phone, we would make them prepay, and we would punch in their cards in the terminal and have a receipt. The driver could go out and get the signature, and they could tip on that if they want. It's not that much of a pain in the ass as it sounds if like you're used to it and putting it in like and get into that mode. It's really just like a button. You can, if it's set up right, you can just, it's just a
Or
button you
Monero
press to
UK
get to
just
that.
said just pay the $5 delivery fee for the KPay cards. You could, but if you're trying to buy a lot of little cards, that adds up. If you're buying like $1,000 card, you know, it's not a big deal. But if like I bought a couple $20 cards that I wanted to try out, I'm not gonna pay $5 for delivery fee. I'm just gonna use the Apple Wallet. So
There's another thing about this. If you're talking about the psychology of the whole thing, just get in line right before somebody else is getting in line, and it adds to the pressure of getting you paid and out the door. Insane.
Nice.
And then
Psychological tips.
you can use that along with the call-in thing. So you can be on your phone until right before somebody gets in line. And then you get in line and you put your stuff on the counter and you say, hey, my boss is going to call in a card to pay for this. And that works really good. And if they start, it's really important that you don't join any of those stupid, like, are you a veteran, or do you have an account with us, or would you like the credit card, or what, you know, it's very important that you reject all of that stuff, because now there's like checking into you that goes on. Don't
yes,
use
I want the free credit card for a free $5 discount.
Yeah, and if you already have an account with, you know, Joe's Pizzeria or whatever, for one, shame on you, but then for two, don't use it for that transaction, okay? Because there's ways that a savvy individual could see that names don't line up, or it doesn't match the last purchase history or whatever.
I can't remember for certain, but wasn't there some sort of like when they ask you for your phone number for like a discount code or whatever, aren't you supposed to give them like this really popular number from like some sort of 1980s television show or something like that?
You mean Jenny 867-5309?
Maybe, but I can't remember. Like it was this really popular show from like the 1980s or something like that, and people use that as their phone number.
As far as I know, that doesn't actually work anymore, but basically what it was is like this one phone number had just been building up mountains of points. And so like almost everywhere had points when they were first introducing these gamified shop here all the time, you know, would you like your Minecraft token or whatever.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I just have 100 phone numbers, so
smart.
Through an alias service, other VoIP numbers. So if it's like they're not going to work with banks, obviously, but if it's like, oh, I want to get the discounts at some grocery store or something, I can just use one of the alias numbers.
There was this,
or if I'm ordering something online, they require a phone number.
There was this song by Soulja Boy called "Kiss Me Through the Phone," and he had this "Say Now" talk line, and it was 678-999-8212, and that's the only number I can remember right off the top of my head like that.
That just, I have so many questions now, but I'm just gonna leave them alone.
Soulja Boy, tell.
I gotta get ready to go to Comic-Con, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, have fun, Alaska.
Happy travels, Alaska Non.
Yeah, man. Have a good time. Have a
I'm
good time.
expecting
Enjoy.
a minimum of 2,000 people added to Cake Wallet. I'll be watching the downloads on the Play Store and the App Store.
Mhm.
I was muted.
You're muted.
Well, wouldn't you know that? Wouldn't you know that Comic-Con users use F-Droid, not Cake Wallet, not Play Store or App Store? So those wouldn't show. No.
Oh, you're still muted, Alaskanon.
Is
I will
F-Droid hard to
basically
use?
guarantee you that there's probably like more graphene users per person in Alaska than like literally everywhere else. So,
It's
and you're
impossible to
welcome for that. But
we will never truly know.
it's a beautiful thing, isn't it? All right. God bless you all. Thanks for everything, putting up with me and so on.
Have fun, man. Have fun, guys.
Have a good
Post a picture on X.
I guess that's not really me, but in this case,
We'll
sure.
signal you a message, Doug.
Yeah.
All right.
You can post it. I'll send it to you on Signal, and you can post it. How about that?
All right, guys. Have fun.
All right.
I'm probably gonna go too, but that's amazing that you have like a digital credit card tied to the Cake Wallet. That's pretty.
Yeah,
You
and
said
we're
you can get a physical one?
You can have it mailed to you if you go through the. So basically, what happens? You order the card through Cake Pay. You get an email. You have to open this link, and then that's the provider's website at that point. You have an option to receive it physically. They can ship the card to you. But of course, that involves giving them your address because Cake doesn't ship it directly because we don't actually issue the cards. It's the provider.
Right.
So if you don't want to do that, you could probably just get it digitally. But we're going to have probably a reloadable card soon. We're working with some other potential partners to try and make the experience better. And hopefully one of those things will be a reloadable card. So one that you can have that you can reload whenever you want with more money.
Yeah. When you first said that, I was like, oh, that would be really good with like a reload type setup.
We're working on it. It's definitely, it's kind of in a mixed area right now. Like we've had a lot of hit and miss with, like card providers in the past.
I'm sure.
As time has gone on, like the scrutiny and working with crypto companies has just gotten larger and larger. So
I know. I was going to say, like, even 5 years ago, it probably would have been easier to set something up.
I mean, Cake Pay used to be better. It used to be where you could buy like, let's say you were at like Chipotle, and you wanted to pay in Monero. You could open a Cake Wallet. You could buy an exact amount, a gift card for Chipotle, and it would give you a QR code. You could scan at checkout. I actually use that a lot. That doesn't work currently, but we're working on bringing that back because we did find a new provider that is willing to work with us and is going to provide us with an API that lets us do things inside the app a lot easier. So it's getting. I think things are starting to turn around a little bit. There's a little less scrutiny now, so it's a little bit better position than it was like a year or two ago. But we'll see.
Yeah, whatever. Give them 25 cents or whatever they demand as a transaction fee.
Yeah, hopefully there won't even be. Hopefully, you won't be a fee at all.
That'd be
before
amazing.
it was basically you got the exact amount. And then in some cards you even got a discount, so you'd actually save 1 or 2% depending on what card it was.
Wow.
So
that'd be incredible.
But I'm excited for that to come back. Hopefully in the next couple months. But yeah, I think I'm probably gonna go close it off here.
Before you do
go
that,
ahead,
though,
Troy. Yeah.
I do have one thing to point out. Swap has, for the first time, hit $10 million worth of volume this month, so it's improving quite rapidly. Like 2 months ago, it was like 2 million, and now it's 10 million.
Lot. There's a lot of volume. I actually haven't made a trade on there, but I kind of want to try doing one now because I don't have a need for it myself. But I actually want to. Maybe I'll sell some on there just to see.
Just go ahead and do a trade and then buy it right back. Like that's sometimes what I'll do is like if I want to test out and see how trades are going, I'll just sell and then sell like $20-$30 worth and then just go buy it right the heck back.
So you've done a couple trades on there. What do you use when you to actually make receive the payment or make the payment?
I'm
if you're the
actually
seller,
using
buyer?
PayPal.
Okay.
PayPal's
I'll
another one. If you bought Bitcoin with PayPal a couple years ago, they would shut down your account. Now they're all like, yeah, buy Bitcoin with PayPal.
But it stays inside PayPal, I think. I don't know if they let you withdraw.
Oh,
And when working with PayPal, you absolutely never ever put in the details that you're doing anything with crypto. Otherwise they will shut down your account.
oh,
Like if you sell Monero for crypto or Monero for cash on PayPal, you do not you specifically point out that the buyer cannot put that in the reason field. Like
right. All right.
All right, guys. I think I'm going to stop it here. Thanks, everyone, for coming on. Thanks, Shortwave. Thanks, George, Bawdy, Tony, Alaskanon. And yeah, have a great weekend, guys. And we will see you next week at 11 a.m. DT.
Peace.
Thank you, guys. Adios.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube and Odyssey, or listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group. See you all.